Oh, dear God. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us on this fine Saturday morning from the Studio A mess-up. We've spent 2 hours trying to rewire the studio.
Three or four times.
3 and 4 times. And come to find out that it still doesn't work.
No,
And Mars is over there laughing about it,
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
sitting over here steaming about it. So whatever the case may be. It's truly not. But, that is what it is. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Mike Mars. Yes, that man.
Oh, boy.
Reviews our new car of the week, the 2022 Toyota GR Supra, whatever that is. Plus, we'll have the upcoming events calendar along with this week's automotive news headlines and car talk galore. And yes, you can go back to the James Bond days when we talk about galore. It's all just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Beetlejuice, King Conrad DeLong,
hey,
Jeff Zekin.
doesn't matter how much effort Mars puts into it, he generally always gets us on.
There you go.
So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
Gets us on what?
The naughty list.
Gets us on the air. Sometimes it's with like 10 seconds to spare or 3 minutes late. But
Why don't we have a monitor so we can see what's going out?
don't start.
No.
Don't start.
If he gets up, we're in trouble.
I can see what's going out, except it's like 18 seconds later, so
We've come
That's
for
all
your
right.
kind of hard to fix.
That's
Come
all
for
right,
your
'cause
daughter, Chuck.
What is that again?
We've come for your daughter, Chuck. Beetlejuice.
Yes. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Did
you
you
have to
push
put
the-
your headset
did
on,
you push
Mars.
that start
This is an
button?
audio
Did you
show
put
that
that?
has.
I was trying
Push
not
the
to say
start
it out
button on
loud.
that.
Yes, it's on air is what it says.
He knows
here.
what he's
on
doing.
Did you
air.
push it twice?
I know. We typically don't do that because that puts you on and off immediately.
Get on Facebook and tell us how many of you would listen to a subscription of us when we start at 6 in the morning till we actually get on the air.
Oh,
You
yes.
have no idea what's been going on here in this studio for
Join
the
us for
past 2
breakfast.
hours.
It's some of what's going on has to be
So-
going out on subscription.
Yes, because it is definitely X-rated.
We
Yeah,
have
it's
breakfast in the morning so we can get our
unrated.
energy built up. And yeah.
What?
I'm just
Jeffrey is
thinking-
the catering man.
Wait a minute. He wants to say something.
So, Jeff, you got YouTube. We're out on YouTube.
I'm out. I've got it.
We're out on Facebook. We're out in the other place.
And you quit.
So we're good.
Except we can't see anything in here.
No.
Well,
Well, give me a minute, and I'll go jack with
No.
it.
No. Just don't touch anything.
Thanks.
Don't
Tune-
even look at it, Mars.
Tune in next week where we'll have more cable.
It's like a sore toe.
I'm gonna go
Don't
like this.
touch it.
Do like this, or I can't see it.
We have enough cable in this room to go to the
Somebody
Paris and
I saw this morning. Somebody had posted this big, ginormous ball of wires in a box that
Oh,
had
yeah, I
been
saw
collecting all of this over the years.
I have one of those.
And it's like, why do you have that?
Because you never know if you're going to
You
need
need
something
another one.
that's
Yeah,
in
and
it.
when is the last time you dug in there trying to find something that you actually needed?
Well, actually recently, but I was looking for a power block for.
So it wasn't
I
the
was
wire,
looking for an ignition switch.
ignition switch.
It's to the
That's
point
right.
where Kathy will throw it out and I'll dig it out of the garbage.
He found the ignition switch. It just didn't have a key in it. This is a car talk show, we think,
Oh my gosh!
and it's also a futile attempt at audio and video engineering. And I do mean futile.
It's not futile.
No, it
It's
is.
frustrating, but it's.
No, it's futile.
Futile.
Anyway, so we don't have a Zoom guest at this particular juncture.
I got a Zoom button.
Yeah, I know that, but it doesn't go
push
to.
it?
Yeah, push it.
No.
Because you don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
when you press it. Because we
Well,
can't
you could
see
you
anything.
could see what's going to be there. 'cause
Yeah,
that's
I have
what's
to
gonna
push it
come up.
twice.
No, don't push it twice. Anyway, we're here. I think we really don't know, but we're here. So we'll move on with the show. And Conrad wanted to start with the cargo ship that caught fire and burned for days, almost a week. And they thought they were going to be able to save the cars that were inside of it, all 4,000 of them.
I don't think so, because when the last picture I saw, which was last week, you could literally see that it had burned through the side of the ship, and you could see the superstructure inside the hull.
So here's kind of a overview of it. Volkswagen Group says as many as 4,000 cars from its multiple brands aboard the Felicity Ace, the name of the ship, are a total loss because of a fire on board that forced the crew to abandon the container ship in the Atlantic Ocean last week. The ship was carrying 3,965 vehicles from the VW, Porsche, Audi, Lamborghini, and Bentley brands destined for the U.S. market. And at the end of all of it, they were going to bring that ship here to unload Volkswagens at the Port of Houston. Well, none of that's going to happen.
I wonder what they don't give it, but I wonder what the true breakdown by brand was. You know, I figure Volkswagen was probably more than half of it, but you got to think, if they lost 50 Bentleys, which is a very small portion of that, that's going to have a huge impact on the Bentley market here in the States.
Well, there's still
But how big is that market?
Not much. I'd say
How many of those?
2,000
a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. I don't know
single-digit
accurately.
percentage.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
accurately,
Well,
but that's a pretty big. That'd be pretty impactful on.
the accountants are still trying to figure out which vehicles they lost and didn't before they turned it over to the insurance.
Before they turned it in, you know, and the same with Audi and Porsche. Though Porsche, I think, is well over 100,000 right
get
now.
a
Of
good
the
spot.
roughly $438 million total value of goods aboard the Felicity Ace, Russell Group, whoever they are, estimated there are $401 million worth of cars, Bloomberg reported this week. Whew.
Yeah.
Let's see. In 2019, the Grande America, destined for Brazil, sank with 37 Porsches aboard, including 4 rare, highly customized 911 GT2 RS. Average price today, $366,000. Though specialized ones can approach $800,000. It's
From a car that started life as a brand, as a Volkswagen.
correct.
Yeah.
Ferdinand Porsche.
Four-cylinder brand.
Well, yeah. Well, Ferdinand was building. It was, you know, he's the one who designed the original Volkswagen. Then after World War II, developed Porsche. You know, and the original Porsches all had a flat air-cooled 4-cylinder.
Yep.
You know, and then the evolution of the.
Let me ask you something. Why don't in today's world, why is the air-cooled engine not worthy of road
emissions? Because air-cooled, the engine temperature kind of moves up and down. It's not as stable. Where water-cooled, you know, even look at what was the most recent major air-cooled engine would have been motorcycles. Actually, I think airplanes still do quite a bit of air-cooled, but motorcycles, and even a lot of the motorcycles have gone water-cooled, because when you can control the engine temperature, you can control. It's easier to control the emissions.
I was going to say easier to control the emissions, but it's not impossible to control the emissions on an air-cooled engine.
Oh, no, not at all. But it's easier to control them.
Yeah.
He did mention that they bailed ship. They abandoned ship. Maybe we should try that next week.
It's just abandoned ship. Leave Mars in here by himself.
There you go.
Well, I think the reason they abandoned ship was the toxicity of the smoke. I don't think there was a safe place on that ship.
Right, and it wasn't a big crew to begin with.
Well,
I don't think
you also
cargo's-
have to understand that of the non-electric cars, every one of them had gasoline in it.
Oh yeah, would have
least-
to have
at least a
certain
little
amount,
bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, probably a couple of gallons.
Oh, easily. Well, and then the toxicity of the plastic they use for front and rear fenders, interior and
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't think it was a case of fear of them burning alive or anything like
No,
that.
no.
It was more along the lines of, gasoline fire is ugly.
Well, and
Well, lithium-ion fire is way uglier and
the
much
seats-
harder to put
yeah,
out.
seats and things like that, once they get started burning and get down inside, they're very difficult to put out from
Well,
a
it's leather.
fire perspective.
From the foam.
They're not as hard as the lithium battery, but they're still very hard to put out, and they probably don't have that much firefighting equipment.
Well,
on.
and the firefighting equipment they have is ocean water.
Yeah.
exactly.
He's pumping.
And salt water. What do we do with salt water?
It just so.
Which was what they were pumping on from the fireboats.
My guess is it was an electrical fire somewhere. either in a gasoline-powered or
No, it's
Electric car. It was an electric car.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the fire probably was
electric car
an
fire.
electric car,
You know, they could have been sitting in it, listening to the radio or something.
No.
Be jamming.
It could have been,
jamming.
it could have just been sitting there and it lit off. Think they tell us not to bring lithium ions and put them in the undercarriage
In
of
luggage,
an airplane when you're shipping. They want that in your hand.
But on the other hand, too, when we go to car shows like Autorama, even over at the new car show, you disconnect the batteries on everything in there, and it goes in with a minimal amount of fuel.
Yeah.
Well, that's all fire marshal.
Right.
Well, it is, but there's a reason to
Disconnect
the battery and make sure that the electrical system is not functioning.
But can you
smart.
imagine doing that with 4,000 cars?
I doubt they do. I bet, and I don't know because I've never dealt with transportation at that level, at the shipping level. But I bet you they drive them on, park them, and get out and go get the next
one. Yeah,
that would be
4,000 of them.
Yeah, 4,000 of them.
So they're
How many days does it take once the ship is loaded and it sets sail from, in this case, Germany? How long does it take to get to port along the East Coast?
Oh, I'd say
a week.
Yeah, I would
it
say
depends on
less.
if you catch fire or not.
I'd say a week at the most, maybe less. But it depends
because
on, now with all the shipping issues, depends on how they queue into the
unload.
port to unload.
Yeah, but to get to that point, though, I think it's like 5 or 6 days to cross the Atlantic.
Well, the nice thing about cars is that you don't have to use a crane. The storage is usually right there at the port, and you drive them in, you drive them off.
Right.
Yep.
They either load on a train or they load on a transporter.
It's just a different egress.
I think you're right, though, about the drive, because a couple of years ago, there was actually one of the contractors down in the port of Galveston. A couple of people down there at the beach where we go, they got on with that contractor to drive vehicles off. And that
kind of like a ferry.
They would walk on, get in the car, and drive it off. And there was nobody connecting batteries or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just as fast as you could drive it off. I mean, that's all they did.
Right.
And I would assume that's the case.
Yeah.
So anything with a lithium ion is susceptible to battery
the other
fire.
thing is that, as we all know, cars are never really turned off, even when they're sitting in the driveway and the keys out of the ignition.
Oh yeah, there's always a residual
computer.
There's always a parasitic drain.
Yeah, there's a keep alive system in there that keeps everything ready and going, and the
To a
timing
point.
and all that thing. Yeah,
To a point.
But that's what they used to call it, is a keep alive system, just enough to keep it going.
And if somebody bumps into the car, pulls a door handle, all kinds of stuff lights. You can watch it on an amp meter.
Right.
All kinds of stuff lights up inside the car because now it's waiting for you to tell it to do the next thing.
Okay,
and it may take it 3 or 4 minutes.
You
to go
talked
off.
about not having a lot of fuel on the shows, the Autoramas and of the world. What about the auctions where they drive them up? I guess there's different rules to have gas in the car.
Well, I don't
and-
think
and
those
drive
cars
them
are
up?
generally stored inside.
Well, some
yes,
of them.
they make them. They are. They're stored at NRG
So
Center.
I'm interested to know what the rules are for that.
I think that it varies by city and the fire marshal and the rules for that particular facility. It would be my guess, because in other auctions, let's say for instance the one out in Arizona, that's not in a brick and mortar building. That's
No,
done
it's
in a tent.
Yeah.
And those they drive them in and drive them out. If you
Drive
want to
them
look
across
at them,
the state.
then you
but
go see them
Beacon's
outside.
That way. When we've been there, we've never seen anybody connecting and disconnect batteries. They're all sitting out there and they drive them
Some
in.
of them
So
have
it's
to
got to
be
be
jumped to get in. Powered
Yeah.
up.
So there's
Yeah,
got
I-
to be something about the fire marshal and what they're doing versus like Autorama, where you're going to be static for 5 or 6 days. You're just sitting there.
Well, yeah, and I always find it odd that the fire marshal says you have to disconnect the positive post,
Right.
not the negative post. And I remember when we used to do Oldsmobile at the auto show back in Astro Hall or whatever it was, you had to take the gas cap off and put a locking gas cap on, and then this piece of tape over the top of it. I always thought it was weird. They would put your battery cable in like a little bag with a
plastic
pull
bag,
tie, like a Crown Royal bag, but not that big, not that purple either.
I use those for golf club covers on my golf clubs.
Really?
So none of those precautions that the fire marshal takes in the buildings do they take while they're shipping. while it's moving overseas. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that they need to be able to get the cars off relatively quick in mass, because, how many people do you have to hire to move them on and off the ship to pull 4,000 cars off?
You'd be amazed at what one person can do and move. I look at the assembly lines. When the car is done, they got like a handful of people. Get in there, start it, honk the horn, turn the lights. The guy's standing over there. Yeah. They drive it off either to another area in the plant, or they drive it out the door to a lot.
Depending on the assembly plant.
And then back they go for the next one. And you'd be surprised at the number, how quickly that happens. They've got it down to a science.
Well, they have it down to a real quick procedure by using the science, because they do, 90 of them an hour.
Yes.
I wonder if anybody's gotten in one and they just drove off and kept going. See you later.
I remember that tour that we took of that Corolla factory in Mississippi. Were you on that with me? And it was pretty amazing. They actually had a stamping plant there, and they stamped the body panels.
Oh, you could feel the ground move in a stamping plant. That's almost scary.
It is. And to see the size of the weights and the actual
the dies
that they use, and they shove them in a drawer system, at least at this
depending
point.
on what they're stamping.
Right.
And this particular one, they were doing the whole side of a Corolla. They didn't do the fender. They didn't, but there was from the firewall
door frame
back,
to door frame,
A-pillar all the way back,
quarter panel,
and to the back quarter panel, and boom,
one hit.
Oh
yeah.
And then it would slide down, and then it would go through a cutter, and it would cut the doors out, and the doors stayed with the actual side.
That is the ultimate in a model car tree. The little trees.
Yeah, very much so.
Exactly. That's what I think of.
And the reason that they did that, they kept the doors with the actual frame, if you will, of the door, is because every one is just a little bit off. When it comes down and makes the actual.
Oh, don't tell me. I worked for General Motors for 25 years.
You were off for 25 years.
Did they do that back then?
Yeah, to a degree, but
Right.
But the problem that it builds when they do it separately, and some of them are done separately, and then the other thing is things are assembled, and welded together. Even that double door frame for the two doors on one side of the car, some of those pieces weren't stamped as one; they were stamped as two. And you can go look at a car and you can see where they spot welded it together. Now that's where all the gap issues come from. The consistency of the gaps, where the Toyota is across the brand, their gap consistency is extremely good. The door gaps, the trunk gaps.
They're perfect.
They're consistently very good.
Yes, they are.
Where you go back to my car, it was horrible. My 70 model.
Correct. Because I'm sure that the doors were not stamped at the same time that the
or
frame.
maybe even in the same building.
Yeah. But the other most amazing thing to me that I didn't understand how they kept it all straight. But once it goes through the paint shop, they all get painted. The whole piece gets painted.
Oh, yeah.
But the doors go to another part of the factory.
Well, because they have to go to door assembly. Now they're going to put windows, locks.
And which is the most complicated aspect of a car as far as the mechanical part of how it all works. And that goes to a different part of the factory. But it comes back and meets the same car in the assembly line process.
I would assume, and because that's not uncommon, that's actually very common, that the paint booth drives a number on all of these pieces that all have to come back at some other place in the assembly plant.
Of course, they've been doing it for a long time. I'm sure that they've got it down pretty well, but that was amazing to me that the doors go off to another part of the building to get assembled.
Doesn't Lexus paint the whole car at one time? They got the robots that open the doors and they paint the jambs. I think it's Lexus.
I don't know. The doors aren't attached. When they have like a jig that the doors sit in as they get all painted. I don't think that they paint.
Well, the doors, the hood, the trunk lid and stuff, all of that stuff is.
I think I saw some. I'm going to have to look that up. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll come back to that.
Toyota does it differently than like, for instance, Ford. I saw a Ford F-150 put together. That's pretty amazing too.
And there was a thing,
And that is an assembly plant. Okay.
that they show how it's made. They do the cars
Yes.
occasionally. I think that's where I saw that. So I'll have to go back and.
But the river, the Red River, or the Rouge River, is it's an open plant for visitors.
Yes.
And they have an overhead walkway, catwalk that you can walk if you're ever in the area. Go.
Well, we went to Rouge River, but they were building something else other than F-150s at the time I visited there. We went to Michigan Assembly to see the trucks.
Okay.
And the trucks, it's pretty amazing because a truck is quite a bit different than most cars in the fact that it's body on frame. And the only thing that was actually assembled on the truck by a robot at the time was the windshield.
Oh.
And the windshield was one of the last things that they put in, and it was done by a robot. Because the robot did it so much better than a human. Because
Consistent. Well, and,
Seating it.
Well, it's getting it all on to come on flat at once so it seals correctly.
And then it presses all of that goo around there
I'd have goo
just
all
at the
over me.
right pressure, then it seals the windshield. You know, back when I was working at the Chevrolet dealership, oh my God, the leaks, the water leaks, especially in the trunk. And it was a bear to try to find out exactly where the leak was. Yeah. You never have that problem anymore. You never have cars go back for water leaks. I've not heard of anybody, I got a bad leak in the trunk. You never hear that.
Yeah, you get a little bit of it.
I'd have goo all over me if I had the. They don't even let me paint in my family because I get paint all over me.
Well, if you can't get it all over you, you're not really doing it right.
Okay. Don't tell them that.
You talking about paint?
Yeah.
Oh,
That too.
sorry, I had to go there. You know what? We've just kind of blown through this first segment, haven't we?
We did.
Well, it's time now for our car review. Are you ready for this over there? No, you're not.
Yes.
Do you have
Yes.
pictures to
Yes,
go along
I have
with it?
pictures.
We just got to go to Zoom as soon as he
Oh, my
starts.
God.
You just
All
give
right.
me the nod, big boy.
All right,
Uh-oh.
so
It's there, big boy.
All right, Mr. Mars has the Toyota GR Supra. What is it?
3.0 Premium GR Supra. So this is a performance coupe is what they're calling it. And I was in the research, I figured out that the Supra actually started out in 1978. Of course, it went away for a little while, and then it came back. And this is the return of the Supra. And it's actually, if you look at it, it's 4 inches shorter wheelbase than the 86 coupe that they built. And
Is it really?
yeah, it's actually a little bit shorter than that, so it's pretty similar. And why is it not going?
Does it ride any better?
No, but I'll get to that. So we had it in the nitro yellow color. This is a two-seater, and it's the way it's designed. It's very sculpted body lines. It's got bulging fenders. It's got vents going in and out for the airflow along the sidelines of it, and I got no way of controlling it.
That's okay. Let it go.
So it's got a very distinct profile. So it's got the long hood and the duckbill tail on it. And it rolls on some nice 19-inch black 10-spoke wheels. So it gives it a very distinct look. And if you get into the inside of it, again, you're in a two-seater. It's got a nice snug interior when you get in there. The seats are sport seats.
Snug.
Very bolstered.
I'd like to see you get in there.
No.
that ain't
I could
happening.
probably get in. It's getting out would be my problem.
It's got a nice 8.8-inch touchscreen up there in the middle of the console or the dash setup there. It also has a color heads-up display that works really, really well.
Cool.
Got an 8.8-inch gauge pod where you're going to see all your gauges right in front of the driver. And it's got a very simple, which I loved it, big tack. Speedometer's small because you don't really need the speedometer. You need the tack. Although I will tell you the way it's set up, if you're not careful when you first get in it and you start seeing, well, it's up there around that 5. Well, I'm doing 50. No, that's 5,000.
Oh.
And that's why you're passing everybody down the highway. And, of course, it's got the Supra command.
Sure,
and it's got a
that's
mouse in the
why.
console and a 12-speaker JBL audio system. And it's primarily set up behind the seats. And it's behind the seats, you're also going to find that there's a bar. So you can only push the seats back and lean the seats back so far to keep you out of that trunk space. And this is a picture of the center stack right there. And it does have enough room, though, back there that you can put some weekend luggage in here if you're going someplace for the weekend. It's got room for that. again, it is a sports car. You buy it for being a sports car. Now, under the hood, to make this sports car very sporty, is a new 2.0 turbo engine. Now, this is a BMW engine, 255 horsepower. It's a 3.0. That's
Wait a minute,
the new
this
one.
is a Toyota with a BMW motor in it.
The 3.0 inline 6 turbo that we had in this particular car is the BMW engine, and the 2.0 turbo liter that's the standard. So I got my wires crossed right there. But anyway, it's 382 horsepower, 368 pound-feet of torque, backed by an 8-speed automatic. You cannot get a manual in this car. It is strictly paddle shifters. And the EPA says you should be looking for 22 in the city, 30 on the highway, 25 overall. I didn't get that.
No.
Well, we're not surprised. You never do.
We had to do a lot of research on this vehicle. I got a little less than 20 on it. 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds, according to Toyota. 155 mile an hour top speed, which I cannot validate that.
Have you ever ridden with Mars? Have you ever with him driving?
Praise God, I haven't.
Don't ever. It's scary.
Well, beside the point.
Just beside the point. My wife just closes her eyes if she even gets in the car. So, and when you're driving this thing, it is very firm. And even with the adaptive dampening system that it's got on it and the electronic rear diff, it's very firm ride in the sports mode. Even if you put it in the softer, it is a sports car.
When you were driving it, did it attract attention?
It attracts a lot of attention. I had a lot of people that wanted to pull up beside you and do the honk thing.
Honk 3 times. It's a good-looking
I think
car.
that's knock 3
That's
times.
the best thing I love about this
it's
car.
honk 3 times on the highway.
Is the look of it. I mean, to me, it's. I love the way it looks. Now, if you're looking for something to compare it to, you might look at a BMW Z4 that's going to be able to start around $63,700.
Which is a shared platform car.
Shared platform.
Obviously.
The Jag F-Type, it starts around $61,000. Of course, then you can look at a Corvette that starts at about $60,000. Now, that's a base stripper model Corvette. Anyway, so the base price on our vehicle was started at. No wonder I didn't write it down.
Don't write it down.
You got numbers crossed again.
Where it printed out, it didn't print it out. So, but the MSRP is tested on this vehicle, which I was really surprised is $57,185. No, it's really not.
Send this review to Toyota, or are you going to
After
redo
I
it
doctor
again?
it. I can't believe that it did. Anyway,
We can.
So Toyota is running the Supra body style in Xfinity races. So and they also Cruise Pendragon and J.R. Todd.
Yes, that's the new body style in drag racing.
But just for those two Toyota, no, not J.R. Todd. It's J.R. Todd and Alexa DeJoria are running the new Supra bodies. There's still a couple of people running the old Camry bodies.
Why don't we see if we can't get the events calendar in and try to stay on pace here? Can you do that in about 60 seconds?
Sure.
All right.
East Side Rides Friday night tonight, and that's at the Baytown.
Well, you just said Friday night.
Yep. Then I shouldn't have printed that one.
Time's ticking.
Brookshire Brothers Cruise In tonight in Montgomery, Texas, starts at 5 p.m. And that's at 21,005 Eva Street in Montgomery, Texas. Also, today is the Early Bird Car Show at Whitestone Boulevard in Cedar Park. Tonight is the Wharton Cruise Night at Domino's Pizza, and that's at Bowling Highway in Wharton. Starts at 6 p.m. Also tonight is the Saturday night cruise into Home Depot at Marina Bay and Clear Lake. That starts at 5 p.m. And then Freddy's Steak Burgers is on March the 2nd, and that is in Katy Freeway, and that's 5 to 8 p.m.
All right. Cool. Thank you, sir. And there's a 60% chance of rain tonight, just saying. All right. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues after this quick break.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes Pipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupi trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then. Weather
Is your
permitting.
business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? You found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@nwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, your place for entertaining automotive. Coming up, we've got a discussion about what's going on in the Ukraine, our version of it.
Oh, well, and to a degree, how it impacts some of the auto industry.
We also have the stories making automotive news headlines. That's going to be one of them. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. What is it, baby? You just need a little attention?
Yep.
The Suze is here, and she's feeling better because she's on her new medication, and
She's not sharing.
she's not sharing her medications. No, she's not. Can you imagine? Hi, I'd like to have some dog medication. No, I'm good. Thank you.
The suppository kind.
Not that one. Not that one.
Yeah, and then you'd be out in the neighborhood sniffing butts and all that.
Yeah.
Again.
Again.
The neighbors would be calling the police.
Again.
Hey, Don's over here sniffing my dog.
Well, no, that's Joe Biden.
No, Joe Biden would be sniffing the little kids.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll let you guys continue on. I'm going to stay out of that
I
conversation.
quit.
All right. So the dateline is Paris, France, for some reason. Any sanctions imposed on Russia for its actions in Ukraine by the U.S. and allies could affect Europe's biggest automakers, including Renault, Volkswagen, and Stellantis. Because Stellantis, of course, is basically
European,
Italian.
EU.
Yeah. All three have significant operations in Russia. And I did not know that. I knew that they had some cars, but I didn't know. So let me continue the story from Automotive News. Renault Group has the most exposure with its controlling stake in AutoVAZ, maker of Lada, which we don't have over here, but it's a big deal over there. Long the market leader in Russia, in addition to the huge AutoVAZ factory in Togliatti, whatever that is, Renault has an assembly plant near Moscow, and Russia is the group's second largest market after France. U.S. and European governments were threatening new sanctions on Tuesday, and this is the latest update. We just don't have a lot. Latest new sanctions on Tuesday after Russian President Vladimir Putin recognized two self-proclaimed separatist republics in eastern Ukraine and ordered troops sent to them in the latest escalation of Moscow's standoff with the West. And, of course, now we know that they have
Well, Toyota has 37 dealerships in the Ukraine.
stand by.
Oh.
Renault Group might have the largest stake in Russia, but several other European automakers operate assembly factories in the country and a record significant sales there, led by VW Group and Stellantis, both with factories in Kaluga. I don't even know where that is. About 112 miles southwest of Moscow, has become a center of the Russian auto industry. Prominent suppliers in the area include Continental, Magna International, and Visteon. VW's group plant there builds the VW Tiguan crossover and Polo small car, as well as the Skoda Rapid compact sedan. It also builds engines and assemblies for the Audi Q7 and Q8 crossovers from semi-knockdown kits. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Probably everything's shipped in and they just assemble it.
They're
not forging anything.
Stellantis operates a factory in Kaluga in a joint venture with Mitsubishi. Other European automakers with interests in Russia include Mercedes-Benz, which invested more than 250 million euros to build a factory northwest of Moscow that builds the E-Class sedan and SUV models. The factory, which has more than 1,000 workers, opened in April 2019. BMW has had semi-knockdown kits assembled at a factory run by Russia's Autovor in Kaliningrad since 1999. Plans for a full assembly factory were scrapped in 2020. So
they couldn't pay enough grease.
Yeah,
because I think everything. Yeah, I think everything over there.
I think that
money paid.
That we will not know the full impact of all of what's going on over there, as far as we're concerned, for quite some time. However, the oil industry is reeling right now because I learned by listening to a couple of shows this week that we still buy and have increased the amount of oil that we get from Russia.
500,000 gallons a day?
Barrels
a day?
What is that? What is that?
I don't know. We're just pouring money into them, and we can produce enough. You got to remember, at the end of the last administration, the United States was a net exporter of fuel, which I always thought was weird the way it was phrased,
and gas.
Oil, because they. I'm sure we're still buying some and then selling more than we're buying, but why would we not do that again?
And we are now back to buying more than we're selling.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about dipping into the strategic oil reserve
again.
Well, and we're also buying from Iran, and that's why do we fund countries that?
So I paid.
Well, there was a trade.
Why buy whenever you got your own?
Produce our own.
So I paid $3.15 for a gallon of gas yesterday.
I paid $3.21 yesterday. I was surprised.
And it has gone up significantly in the past week. And now I'm hearing that we could easily pay close to $5 a gallon quickly.
Rochelle's paying $5.50 a gallon right now
in California.
Wow. But she has to buy premium for the Audi. But still, with $5.50, it's a lot per gallon.
Yeah.
The I don't know.
So, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is the fact with this oil thing, it's going to change the whole makeup of everything because. With the price of gasoline, fuel, let's put it that way, we're talking about airplanes, jet fuel, which is high to begin with.
Warming your house with
gas,
fuel oil, or natural gas.
Natural gas went up yesterday.
So all of this is going to have an impact on everything because everything depends on either transportation or making the product. I mean, you can't have a factory that doesn't use some sort of energy to make it.
And does this, I'm not even going to call it a scare because it's a reality, does this drive more people to EVs?
I don't know because now your electric bill is going to go through the roof.
Yep.
Not only that, but mainly because of
natural gas.
Of the fact that we went through all the crap a year ago with the electric grid. Mm-hmm. Now all of that cost of that is going to start phasing in.
That's already started. And not only the gas, Ukraine has a supply of the mineral for chips.
As a matter of fact, I have a story about that.
Ukraine is full of natural resources that are almost exclusive to Ukraine as far as the volume that they put out in the industry.
I have a story. Here it is.
You want to do that now? Or?
I'm going to do that now.
Heitzman says open the Keystone Pipeline. Yes, Jeff, we all agree.
Okay, Mike's going to get right on that.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Push it twice.
So aluminum rallied to a record in London, and nickel surged to the highest in more than a decade, pacing gains in industrial metals markets as the deepening Ukraine crisis added to supply risks in an industry already facing critical shortages. The gains will heap fresh inflationary pressure on buyers who use aluminum in everything from cars and cables to drink cans, and the threat of disruption will be particularly troubling for manufacturers in Europe who buy large volumes of specialist products made from it that come from Russia. Aluminum jumped as much as 4.8% to $3,449 a ton in the London Metal Exchange.
And think of how much aluminum is used in the automotive industry right now.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, surpassing a previous record set in 2008, while nickel surged to the highest since 2011. Copper edged lower as the military action sparked a sell-off in risk assets across financial markets. European power prices jumped 15%, and the region's benchmark gas contract spiked as much as 41% on Thursday, far exceeding the gains seen in most industrial metals. Even with aluminum prices at a record high, the surge in energy prices means some smelters remain unprofitable.
Well,
U.S. sanctions on major producer United Co., Rusal International in 2018 sent prices soaring about 30% and sparked a frenzied hunt for alternative metal. The penalties were lifted after billionaire Oleg, whatever his name is, agreed to reduce his ownership and relinquish control. No guarantee that the situation in Ukraine or any planned sanctions by the U.S. or Europe will affect aluminum or any other metal. Russia is also an important producer of nickel, palladium, and copper.
Wow.
So I guess that the point that we're learning about is the fact that this invasion of a country that is neutral, that is not aligned with anybody, pretty much, is going to affect each and every one of us.
Well, we've talked about it before, particularly with in the automotive sector, that it's a world economy. So you can't sit there and say, not realistically sit there and say, well, there's going to be a war over in Europe. It's going to disrupt a lot of things and basically destroy a country if they're not careful, without it impacting everybody else because of that world economy. And it just doesn't work. I mean, I guess maybe China doesn't have to worry too much because they don't let anybody do anything.
Well, apparently there's going to be a realignment of world powers, and China is going to, they already
I think they already are.
are in cahoots with Russia.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so now the talk is that China is going to invade Taiwan.
Yep.
Yes.
They're already flying over it.
And you
been
know
for a
that there are a lot of automakers over there. And so the automotive world is still going to be even more affected if that happens as well.
Oh, well,
But again, it comes back to that whole concept of a world economy. And so at what point do you sit there and say, well, we're not going to do business over here? Well, you can't, because you're going to basically cut your own throat whenever you sit there and say that. Because everybody knew that this was going to happen in Ukraine. We know it's going to happen in Taiwan because now they've seen that they can do it and get away with it. But yet, if
we continue to offshore production components.
Even though things that we can do ourselves.
Well, you know where most of the chips are made. China and Taiwan.
Yes. So once they've done that, then they've got complete control over it.
Then they got you by the cojones.
Well, they already have, and it's just
if clearly the automotive industry has been affected by the chip shortage, but I think that if you ever thought about buying a computer and really in the next year you're thinking you're going to need one, I would go buy one now.
Right.
Well, on a multitude of interviews and conversations we've even had on the show, Ukraine is like one of the leading resource for, I think it's Xeon or something like that, which we go back to the guy we had from Great Britain.
Yes, I was
that
thinking
talked
of that
about
too.
cobalt mining, and he said,
he was in Spain. He's Spain. He was from Great Britain,
But he was home office in Spain.
He was, and he said that the cobalt is primarily coming from China right now, but the Xeon is necessary in doing a lot of chip work as an inert gas that they spray as they're doing work on
Yeah.
them to stop the corrosion. So as that's taken away, that's going to even compound more the chip issue.
Yeah.
Stay
So-
tuned next week because we're going to invade something next week. We need to figure that out. What we're going to invade.
The four of us.
We're not going to invade anybody. We're going to go be peacekeepers somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Put me between the two people with guns shooting at each other.
Well, you got the gas. You can unload on them.
Like you know, man, I think that we really should just settle down and,
Here, smoke this.
I was thinking the same thing.
take a hit. Yeah.
We're going to invade a country that produces the most bongs in the world.
that would be the glass
The
plant.
glass plant.
Right. Yeah.
Ford plant.
No, glass.
So,
meaning bongs and.
Well, the corporate office in Dearborn, the big square rectangle, that was called the glass.
Oh, it was.
Because it was all glass.
and Toyota has production in St. Petersburg, Russia. So there's world market you talk about as it's cross-pollinated through different countries, going to have a huge impact on the automotive
Well, they
industry.
do that,
Cheap labor.
Well, cheap labor and, cut down on shipping. So you build it there just like they build things here in our country now in the United States instead of shipping
yeah.
them over. You build them there for a lot of reasons, and that further embeds you into this world economy so that when something like this happens and you got somebody that says, I'm going to take over the world, it's really hard to step back and say, no, you're not.
When they can impact the world with whatever they want to do.
Products.
Exactly.
Yep.
Ouch. Well, that was a happy story.
Yeah, thanks, Don, for bringing that happy story to light.
Well,
It's a reality.
It truly is, and it's going to affect the automotive industry, and that's the angle that we have
Yeah.
here.
Oh, absolutely.
On all of this.
And
The transportation you mentioned and everything, because the price of goods in the grocery store are going to go up.
Well, as
they already have.
As
Already has.
Conrad mentioned, we know for sure in gasoline engines and powered vehicles, all of the chips that are involved, and with an electric vehicle is even more to control all of the functions that happens on an electric vehicle. So,
But that hasn't impacted Tesla to the degree it has impacted Stellantis, GM.
Yet.
Well, you say that, but you don't. I mean, a lot of that impact that is it's based on what's being released.
It's a down the road impact because of the
Well-
electrical prices and the grid prices.
well, here's the deal with Tesla. Tesla is a different animal
Yeah,
because
that's where I was-
because
my
that is a
point.
privately owned company, I think, still, Elon. And he'll only tell you what he wants to tell you.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to was, it may have a bigger impact than anybody knows because he's just not telling.
Well, I don't know. They certainly did crank out a lot of cars last year.
That's what I was going to say. Their sales were way up.
The other thing I heard yesterday, and this is all speculation, we have a space station up there that has American and
that's
Russian
right.
people.
Yes, we do.
Right now.
Can you imagine
And
that conversation over coffee in the morning?
that's a little. That's a different.
It'd be like the guys at Snake Island.
Yeah.
Can you go out and get the paper for me?
Yes.
No, but they're talking about that yesterday. And what is the impact on the space program? Because everything's being launched out of Kazakhstan or whatever in
Buckets.
Russia.
Open the open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Yeah. That was on the other day.
It was. Yes, I saw
Did you
part
see
of it. Yeah. My mother was flipping channels. I walked through. Oh, I've seen that before. She watched about 30 seconds of it. I don't want this. Boom.
It's good.
Changed it. Yeah.
Yep. What year was that? 69?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I would say back then.
Yeah.
And then there was a
Interesting.
second one of them, too.
Yeah, but
It wasn't nearly as good.
No.
But anyways, the point is there's folks up there traveling around space that are Russian and American.
yeah, they are.
Not many.
Is it four?
No.
Two Americans and two Russians?
Something like
They're
that.
probably getting along better than anybody else right
Yeah,
now.
probably. There's a lot of vodka up there.
I'll bet you that there won't be many more space launches.
Joint-
As a matter
Well,
of
that's
fact, I
disappointing.
understand that there is supposed to be a Russian transport vehicle that's supposed to take them from the space station down to Kazakhstan.
You open up your goodie bag.
No,
that you just got
Kazakhstan is where they land.
Yes.
You open up your supply box that you just got sent up from Earth, and there's nothing in there but like guns and bombs. What are you going to do? We forgot the mayonnaise. We forgot the Spam.
We had a spam discussion
We
here
did.
this morning. I
That's why I
thought
threw
you'd
that
like
in.
to know that
It kind of led into that.
because you had some.
Yeah, I have spam. I have spam in my pantry right now.
Yeah.
It's
Now, do you cube it or do you just slice it in
I
slices?
slice it, and then I don't pan fry it. I oven fry it because my oven's a convection oven, so it acts like a.
That's not really
like
fried, though.
Well, it actually it is because mine acts like what's the new latest
Air
craze?
fryers?
Yeah, my oven's like an air fryer.
So it's not
a
greasy.
convection oven.
It pulls. You don't have to cook it in grease.
Listen, the only kind that
But I like
There
it
won't be
thin,
anything
so
left.
it's almost bacon-like.
Oh,
really, that's too thin.
Yeah,
Well, so,
crispy.
Yeah. So my relatives in Alabama, they seriously, they
I thought they were in Wisconsin.
I thought so,
they
too.
moved to
No,
Alabama.
this is the hillbilly side.
the hillbilly side. This is my mother's side of the family. So
from
she-
L.A., Lower Alabama.
That's right. No, actually, this is from
Lower A-Leaf.
northern L.A. Yeah.
nah.
Nah. She actually does still spam it up.
Oh, yeah.
And uses it on white bread and put a little. For
I think
her,
I-
it's mayonnaise. For me, it's mustard. But
Yeah, I think I was talking to Weldon, and Weldon says, yeah, he still has spam every now and then. Now they've got when I grew up as a kid, there was one blue can. Tell us the story. What was the other thing you were talking
You're
about
talking
this
about
morning?
the 1937.
yeah, it developed in 1937. They're getting ready to make the second batch this year.
Yeah, the first batch of spam.
I would suggest reading the contents, the nutritional
No,
contents on it. I have to. I do.
Isn't
kinda
it
like
shoulder
going into
pork?
the
Why don't
kitchen in
you
a
eat it?
restaurant.
Shoulder pork and ham. Isn't that
Yeah.
what spam stands for?
It might be the weird parts of the
Yeah.
pork, but
Cheeks and beaks and feet.
Well, that's
kind
okay.
of. That's the
Yeah.
chicken. That's the
I've
I've
chicken
eaten
part
pig's
of it.
feet before.
No, I'm not. I'm good.
I've
on
eaten
that.
snout.
No.
That's the weirdest thing. to eat.
I've done pig's feet, but not the snout.
I have done
and then
tongue.
jowls.
I've done tongue, and I'm sorry that I just can't. No.
Isn't that French?
Again, we've talked and turned into a cooking show.
First you cook the chicken.
Well, we do have the.
You know what state eats more spam than any other state
Hawaii.
in the country? Hawaii.
Really?
It's in everything. Yeah.
They actually have a sushi that's got a piece of spam on top. I don't know if it's sushi because it's not rolled. It's over
Where
the
is
top.
spam made?
Wisconsin.
I was going to say Minnesota. I'll look it up. I thought
Minnesota?
it was
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Well, we do have the hot rod tour of Texas coming up, and I'm thinking, a little open campfire at the drive-in movie night.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
And we could
Ask
cook up some
Sparkman.
With
spam.
a picnic basket.
Yeah. Get some Vienna sausages to go with it. And some
No, just spam.
That's Vienna sausage.
Vienna sausage.
Vienna, not Vienna.
And
They come in that little can in that disgusting soup mix thing.
yeah.
They're embargoed right now. The Vienna.
I wonder where they make the Vienna sausages. I can only imagine what is in that.
Viagra.
It's the stuff that won't fit in spam.
the leftover.
That's why they grind it up.
What'd you
so
come
much
up
more.
with there,
I'm looking,
Doctor?
I'm looking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thought this was a car show, and so did you. Nah, we've changed it. It's a cooking show.
Man.
Sorry.
Now,
We're going to talk about medical things next hour.
please, let's. Catheters and things. Do you really want to go there, Jeff?
No,
You brought it up.
Let's not wander
I'm
down.
thinking of other medical
Let's
things.
not wander
no,
down that
The
road.
human body is amazing.
There are some recalls that we needed to tell you about.
Please.
A couple anyway. Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid from 2017 to 2018. The vehicle can have a thermal event when parked.
When parked.
When parked.
Oh, but it's hybrid.
Yes, I said that, Pacifica Hybrid.
So here we go back with battery issues, I'm sure.
Yep. And the incorrect front driver's airbag module has been placed in Mercedes-Benz from the 2021 model year in the GLB 250. Oops.
Oh, they didn't
Incorrect.
make
Where they put the back seat one in and they hit you in the back of the head instead of the
I
front.
don't know.
Yeah, if it don't deploy and you need it,
It broke.
That's a problem, yeah.
Ford is recalling. Do you own a Mustang? Ford recalling 330,784 Mustang muscle cars in the U.S. because of a defect that causes the rear view camera to malfunction. Well, there's something to recall. NHTSA said that certain 2015 to 2017 Mustangs have damaged or loose camera wiring that can cause or distort a blank image on the screen.
See, that's what causes all those wrecks when they leave the car shows.
Dealers have notified of the defect, and affected owners will be notified by mail by March the 7th. Okay, well, that's it. I could continue on with the news headlines if you'd like. Hyundai and Genesis are warning U.S. dealers against aggressive pricing strategies that are damaging the brand image, including markups that push transaction prices way above sticker, according to letters sent to retailers and obtained by Automotive News. Automakers, part of the Hyundai Group, also warned of potential actions they can take against offending dealers, such as reductions in future allocations, advertising benefits, and other incentives.
Put that in writing, and the state of Texas will have them by the neck.
According to the letters, one of the aggressive practices that's hurting the image of the Korean brands involves advertising one price online and then marking up that price when the customer comes to the dealership, called bait and switch.
That's relatively dealer practices for years.
Or lost leaders.
According to an Edmunds report last week, buyers paid above sticker price on a record 82% of all new vehicles in January, compared to 3% in January of 21. Average transaction price, $728 above sticker last month, compared to $2,151 below sticker price a year earlier.
Well, that's all supply and demand, too, because they don't have any inventory. You know, you can understand why Dodge and Chevy and Ford have gotten over sticker for Vipers, Corvettes, and Ford GTs, but you're going to pay over sticker for a Hyundai?
Yeah. Several years ago, I went to a Chevrolet dealership that will go unnamed because it does have a nice reputation, it had a nice reputation here in town. And they had some sort of a special Camaro in there, ZL1 or whatever the latest, greatest thing was, with engines and stuff like that. And apparently everybody was clamoring for this thing, and they wanted a $5,000 dealer premium.
Yep.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Screw you. I will never buy another thing from you, sir, at your dealership.
Well, but the adjusted market price is what a lot of them will call it as well.
I'm sorry.
If people are willing to pay it, the dealers are willing to charge it.
Well, of course they are. But why not be the better person and not do that?
And there are some dealerships out there that advertise and say they won't sell over MSRP. Be interesting to find out when they've got 3 cars left and 5 people trying to buy them, at what point will they sell?
And they're all
over?
lime green.
Right. Well, but you got, more buyers than you have product to sell, and the price goes up. It truly is a matter of supply and demand.
I get that, but and again, I'm old school, and don't rip me off, and certainly don't make me know going in that you're going to rip me off.
Well, a lot of the customers who bought C8s early paid over MSRP.
Yeah.
Now all of these orders are going in for the C8 Z06, and they're all being told, we don't know what the price is yet, but you are going to pay a premium over MSRP.
And didn't you talk to someone recently that flips Corvettes? You met someone at a function?
All sorts of cars, not just Corvettes. Okay. Yeah.
And then, let's take it full circle and go back to, Jerry Emmons had sent me some stuff a little while ago, probably back around January, about the used car market, where some of the used cars are selling over MSRP of the same vehicle when it was new, or close to what MSRP is today for the same model.
Yeah.
When there's no cars to buy and a lot of buyers, prices go up.
I understand that. I think that if that were me, I think what I would do is I would say, I'm not going to pay that much for the car, and then leave it to the...
All right, get out of the way. There's 4 more people behind you that will.
All right, see ya.
Is ultimately what they say.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Are you going to buy it?
No.
Are you going to buy it? I'm not going to buy it.
But there are plenty of people who will.
I'm sure that there are.
Mikey will buy it. He'll buy anything.
And again, some of that becomes the emotion of the purchase.
Some of it does, but you remember when the Safari vans, GMC Safari, and all those mid-size, when they first came out, well, we decided we wanted one with the kids and everything, and we went down there, and same thing. Well, we want MSRP. Well, I'm not paying MSRP. And they said, well, okay. Bye. And I said, so we sat on it. He said, it'll be gone tomorrow. And sure enough, I drove by, and it was. I mean, there was just people there.
Quick break now. We'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupi trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@nwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. Just ahead, Rodney Rodriguez, host of the Revved Up Sports Show, talks the Daytona 500 and the direction of NASCAR this year, along with the Gulf Coast Racing Series and what's ahead for the 2022 season.
Direction of NASCAR is always turn left, isn't it?
I think so.
I got to drive the new small mid-size Chevy Equinox SUV. I'll tell you my thoughts on that. Conrad has the cruise-in calendar and This Week in Auto History. Plus, we'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad you could join us today. Let's just head right on over to Austin, Texas, and talk to Rodney Rodriguez. Rodney, good morning.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Cold, dude. Cold.
Yeah, it's in the 40s here. What do you got there?
Yeah, we're in the 30s. It's going to rain all day, just a little constant drizzle, So, great way to – it's just enough to ruin the day,
Well, that is unless you're working on the race car in the garage.
Well, back in our days of doing a lot of racing, we did that in the driveway, man.
In the driveway on the race car, sure, of course.
Because the garage was full of stuff.
That's right. That was the parts bin in the garage.
That's exactly right.
So, Rodney, how have you been, man?
Been good, buddy. Just gearing up for the thing is, when it comes to racing season, it really never stops. I mean, there's always controversies, and whether it be rule changes, car changes, whatever it may be, just getting ready for liftoff. And I mean, in these parts, with the dirt world, they fire off in January, and Speed Weeks in Daytona, Volusia was racing dirt stuff, and New Smyrna had the World Series of asphalt. So we've been blowing and going for about a month.
It's truly incredible because, it used to not be that way, my friend.
Right.
This time of the year, you were working on your car, building an engine, getting ready for the racing season. And really, it wasn't until Easter.
I was going to say, looking at the schedule to figure out when you had to be ready.
So you'll be interested to note that we're going to have the president of PRI, Performance Racing Industries, going to be on with us a little bit later on this morning. And
awesome.
have you ever been to one of those events?
I haven't been to PRI. The thing here lately, the times that I've wanted to go, it usually comes the week after the Snowball Derby, which for me, that's 4 or 5 days right there of non-productive on the job that actually pays the bills. So, to do that back to back would be extremely tough. But I love that show because it really does bring all the people from the industry together and gives them an opportunity to collaborate and just expand not only the brand visibility of everyone, but whether it be products, just everything. I mean, I wish we'd been doing that longer.
And it's multiple aspects of racing that show up there, from the roundy round guys, the dirt guys, the asphalt guys, the NHRA guys, the street outlaw guys, the IMSA, the road racing guys, so there's so much available product on display that most aspects of automotive sports get there.
So let's talk about the Daytona 500. Let's start with that. I don't even know what to say about that. It seems that pretty much, for the most part anyway, that the new cars worked fairly well. Apparently there was some sort of an issue with the rear suspension that knocked out a couple of cars. I'm sure that'll be addressed. But, it was the typical Daytona 500 stuff, restrictor plate racing, and everybody get into these great big humongous pileups because they're running bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle.
At 195 miles an hour.
Right. And the thing about it was going to be really a catch-22, not only with the new car. And Don, that's a weird thing where we're going to have to learn when you say restrictor plates, because the restrictor plates are gone. They're not on there anymore.
Well, no, but they do that. They do that
right,
through the injectors now.
No, they do it through Aero as well.
Yeah, speedway racing. Yeah. Yeah, now the arrow's all under the car. But NASCAR was going to be interesting to see because they were coming off of the massive Anaheim, Coliseum race 2 weeks before.
What did you think about that
debacle?
I loved it. I mean, I loved it.
You're a short track guy.
I liked it. I liked it myself too. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I said on record many times that was going to be an epic fail or a huge success, and thank goodness it was the latter. And it really brought a lot of eyeballs onto the sport. And folks were talking about the in race break and just it's California. It's a different audience. I think it went extremely well, and that's where going into the 500, you were going to have a lot of new eyeballs on this race with the new car. The car's catchy, the car's attractive. The number thing is unless you really look at this. And here's the thing with the new car with the numbers. When folks want to complain about moving the numbers forward, if you look at that new car now, there's not a lot of quarter panel back there, so it's a lot smaller. You have to push that forward. But with the race, I think the biggest thing coming out of it was the wheels.
Yes.
That was the issue right there. I had some boots on the ground at Daytona that sent me pictures of some of those wheels. And I can tell you when they were going in, and again, I'm not reporting this, I'm just speculating this. When these teams go in there and they say they were deburring that opening, they weren't doing that.
You're taking weight off of it.
What I saw was not deburring.
What were they doing?
They were trying to open that hole up a little better to make it quicker on the pit stop. Yeah. I mean, if they can gain a tenth, 4 times, that's that's going to help that pit stop.
Well, and there was a number of incidents where the lock wouldn't lock correctly, and then I want to say there was 2 incidents where the center hub broke off of the rim.
Well, there's nubs on the back of that where they have to be indexed into that.
Right.
So that's part of it too.
The other part of this, guys, is, and this is where to me it was going to be such a gamble with NASCAR, and we'll see this is more of a road course vehicle anyway, but to me, with a wider tire, a wider footprint, you've got an 18-inch tire now, you've got bigger brakes on these cars, and then you've got aluminum wheels. All of that just means you're generating more heat, and that's obviously going to break the center. I mean, that'll break the center out of one of these things on a 31-degree banking or whatever Daytona is. But
just from the load.
It's a lot of load on it.
It's a hell of a lot of load. And I think I was talking about this earlier on another show this week, to where really what NASCAR did, let's say that Major League Baseball, if they get to play this year, let's say that they really did institute some sort of pitch clock. They changed up all the base stealing rules.
And brought in aluminum bats.
Right. Let's say that they drastically they made the baselines longer.
Cheaper
let's say
beer.
that they did all of that. let's say that they did all of that and just played a couple of exhibition games and then boom, let's go. That's really what NASCAR did. It's totally different.
Well, I understand that a couple of teams got their wheels confiscated, and they were going to be fined and all this ugly stuff going on because they messed with the wheels. But now I understand that they're not going to be fined, that there's going to be basically a hand slap, and they're going to have to go back and look at the wheels themselves.
So do you know the inside story on that?
Well, the biggest man, I've got some sound I'm going to play on my radio show today from Roger Penske, who was talking about, and of course they're saying that it was more of a safety. What they were trying to do was more safety generated,
right?
And guys, you know racers. I mean, with this new package, with the new wheel and everything, there's a lot of gray area here. So a race team,
it ain't cheating until you get caught.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You see a gray area, you're going to test it. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing. And it will get interesting. I am going to forecast that at some point there will be some sort of, whatever they call the P1 or whatever the big violations are. I mean, even this morning or last night, Kurt Busch, who drives the second 2311 car, he failed tech 3 times, just on various scenarios. So he won't get to qualify for the race. He does have a charter for the Fontana race, but he won't actually get a qualifying run.
Which is probably why he got caught 3 times, is because he knew he had the charter, and they could kind of see how much could I get away with.
You're just testing the waters, and this is where it's going to become imperative for NASCAR to really. And again, it's a slippery slope. They don't know what to do, at this point, because there's a lot of unknowns with this car that are going to continue to be. It's on the job training what we're going to see. But I think the product on the racetrack. I mean, I think the car raced as well as can be expected. With the different downforce things that they're doing, these guys are really having to drive these cars. I don't know if you saw any of the in-car video, but these guys are having to wrestle the cars around like they did in the 80s. They're not Cadillacing around the racetrack like Jonathan Hart, from Heart to Heart used to. They're having to drive.
Well, let's bring that whole idea closer to home, because I know Gina had announced in the Gulf Coast Racing Series that they are going to commonize one of the classes between Mississippi and Houston.
Yeah, that's in Houston what we were calling the super stocks.
Right.
That very much looked like the Outlaws. I mean, to me, that was always something where a lot of folks would come to me at the racetrack and say, "Why don't you just run?" Neither one of those classes have a lot of cars. Why don't you run them together? But the difference was under the hood and with suspension. And what they've done, you've got the Wheelman series over with Ricky Brooks tech inspector over at Five Flags Speedway. He's taken over that series, and they have commonized to where these Texas super stocks are able to make that transition over to not only run at Mobile, but at South Alabama Speedway and Pensacola and Montgomery, some of these other tracks, to really give them an opportunity to race, because there's really not a lot of it in Texas. And the super stock class has been, because it if you really trace the super stock class back, this was the Novas and the Camaros, the early style, very, very steel-bodied stock cars that evolved into what you see out there right now. And there was a healthy class of these cars in Kyle up until 2016 when it closed out at CTS, Central Texas. They just never made it over to Houston, and it's a good CPR shot for the Texas super stocks.
And how much of a change is it going to be for the car owner to commonize to the broader category?
It's going to cost a little bit of money. It's going to cost a few $1,000s, but where the challenge is really going to be for the Texas guys is the travel. I mean, the travel is really the hard part, and it's where I feel horrible for the Texas guys. I mean, hell, Don, we've had to travel over there, and it's, I've done the drive. People give me hell about flying over there, but I've done that drive, and imagine that with a big old enclosed trailer and the expenses, and Lord knows fuel prices aren't cheap. It's going to help them. I mean, with what they're able to do, I don't know if they'll jump in and be at the front of the pack in the Wheelman series. It'll make them competitive, though. It'll make them competitive.
Well, good. And hopefully bring some of them here to Houston as well. That travel works both directions.
My guess is, and I haven't talked to Gina about this, but you and I both know that area where Houston Motorsports Motorsports Park is located over there off of North Sam Houston Tollway. And I think the days are numbered over there because there's a new subdivision coming in from the east side, and it's pushing right over there toward that track. And I think that eventually that'll all be sold, and that racetrack is going to go away, and there won't be any more asphalt racing around here.
Yeah, it gets to. I mean, it's just basic economics. When the land value starts to exceed the current use, it's like
a la Riverside.
Yeah, absolutely.
NHRA,
yeah.
So let me ask you this: if you were to go, okay, I've got several $1 million here. I want to build a track. Where would you build the track? Would you do like a Texas World Speedway that failed because it was built trying to please too many people? Would you build it on the east side of Houston like our drag strip is? Where would you build a track these days?
Rodney's Race Course.
Houston is hard. I've always said that if I was going to try to build a racetrack, I would probably do it more out this way, out towards between San Antonio and New Braunfels, somewhere in that Cibolo area. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the drag strip out in Marion. I guess it's called, I think, San Antonio Raceway.
Right. It's right on I-10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right off I-10. I've always thought that would be a great location. And to me, there's plenty of land there to drop a 3/8 mile, not a half mile. A lot of folks want a half mile, but a half mile chews cars up and spits them out. I mean, it tears stuff up. 3/8 mile or a quarter mile high bank racetrack, I've always thought out there in that Marion, somewhere in that little cluster, there's room there on the backside of that drag strip. I think now the idea, especially with the evolution of short track racing of the Texas World Speedway idea to draw Houston, Austin, San Antonio, maybe even, Dallas is kind of far, but Dallas is very dirt heavy when it comes to all of that. Not a lot of paved stuff. In fact, none. I think that would be the spot.
Let me ask you,
either that or at LaGrange and call it the chicken track.
That's funny. Now, let me ask you this. I heard that, now that is the drag strip even open there in San Antonio?
It was
going to close. It was going to close. I think it closed. I think it closed. And see, at one point there was a rumor going around that they were going to build a drift track, a quarter mile drift track, because the gentleman that had purchased this had some really good ideas. Apparently, it was always somebody else that was speaking for him, and he passed away. And of course, there went the idea. But as far as I know, that facility is closed right now, which is a shame because that's a nice little spot.
Well, I'll tell you, man. With the drag strip closing here in Houston, and there's a drag strip there in San Antonio, I would easily go to San Antonio to watch my NHRA drag racing, and I would easily go there, certainly, to watch a nice 3/8 mile asphalt track if one would be built. It would be great to have both of those there at the same location. The property is there. There's nothing around there. It's going to be there for a while, so why doesn't somebody step up and buy it? Obviously, money.
Because there is tracks in San Antonio.
That's always been the thing there. And there's no threat of a house. There's nothing there. It's pasture. The other grand idea that I've had, usually it takes me about a 6-pack of beer, guys, to really get these juices.
to get the juices flowing.
And that's where you are right this morning, isn't it? You got that 6-pack? Okay.
Not quite. But my other idea has been COTA. If you really go look at Circuit of the Americas out there in some of the outlying spots, there's a place there where you could do a quarter mile track or something like that. And I've thrown that idea out. I've thrown that idea out to people that work at COTA, not Bobby Epstein, but I think that would be a spot as well. But, if you start throwing up a short track at COTA, that's where you're going to get into folks that would be like, oh, I don't go there because of the, Tavo Hellman got the shaft, or, I don't go there because NASCAR or Formula One goes there. So that'd be the problem there. But, yeah, I think Marion is the spot. That really is the spot.
Yeah, you got a lot of people within 3 to 5 hours of there.
All right, so if any of our listeners out there are interested and you want to build a track and you got an extra $50 million
send us your money and
contact
we'll make it
us at info@inwheeltime.com.
I've got a set of plans.
There you go. That's half the battle.
See,
right there.
we've already got the engineering work done.
So
I'll sell you my spiral.
So let's talk about the Gulf Coast Racing Series and what's ahead. It's going to be a shortened season. I think she's only got 5 races out there this year.
Yeah, it's tough, with and with you guys we're talking about with the drag strip, closing. Obviously, some of that fall off, for the obviously not for NHRA or any of that. They'll still have the NHRA event out there, but a lot of the sport racers will gravitate over to Dean's Place there at H&P. So that track is in demand. And the thing is, when Houston Motorsports Park is doing a drag race event, it utilizes the oval, and that just makes it tough. And the dates just aren't available. And when in this case the drag strip track owner is making a nice healthy, because I don't know if people know this, but this sport is really hard to make money at. And
Yeah.
There at Houston, when Dean does these races, he's generating some nice revenue. So I would hesitate to pawn off race dates if I were him.
Oh, okay. So you mean as far as going away from the drag, going to the asphalt?
Yeah.
But aren't the
thing-
drags out there usually on Fridays?
Well,
I
that's
think they
street
do
nights.
Fridays and Sundays, and I think they do it a lot. I'm not exactly sure when they do it, but the other part of that, and then when it gets tough for Gina's got a pretty hefty rent bill that she has to pay to have those races out there. So it's not just a matter of she gets the keys and the keys to the Cadillac and go have at it for the weekend and have fun.
Because not only does she have to pay the track, she has to pay the purse.
Right. You got to pay the purse. And then, Don and I come rolling in and, we're in such high demand.
I thought you guys volunteered for beer and dollar dogs.
That's it. Dollar Dogs. That's it. That's us. Well,
That's right.
it's always great to talk to you, man. And hopefully I'll see you at least at most of the Houston races. And you never know. I might make my way over there to Mobile again once this year.
Well,
Yeah,
we need to make
absolutely.
one trip over there when they first get started for sure.
To Mobile?
Yes.
Have you? Well, of course, you're halfway there.
I've been to Mobile, but I flew.
Yeah. Well, that's what Rodney does.
I was on the
He's
Gold
a
Coast
cheat.
tour.
He cheats, and he flies in there.
One
I
time,
blame it
That's a
on
long
work.
haul. He's 2.5 hours the other side of us.
I went on the Hot Rod Gulf Coast tour over there a while ago.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's great to talk to you. Don't forget, when is the Revved Up Sports Show on?
Mondays at 6:30, and actually, this Monday coming up on Revved Up, we've got a Texas legend. I can't say who it is yet because I'm going to announce it at 2:00. But if you're a San Antonio, Houston area race fan, Don Armstrong. If you're a San Antonio or a Houston area race fan, you'll enjoy the conversation on Monday evening.
6:30 Monday evening, and for us,
So if
over
we
here,
guess,
it's
will you
online.
tell us we're right?
What's that?
If we guess at it, will you tell us we're right?
No, because you'll probably guess it.
So where can people catch your show? Where can
Online.
That one at Revved Up Sports Show on Facebook or RevvedUpSportsShow.com, and it takes you right to a live cast link.
Read
then
all
we've
the
got-
signs behind them.
Well, there's a lot of them there. I was trying to figure out which one of it is.
They're the one on each left side is the same as the right side.
And
Rodney,
then,
Rodney, well, never mind these guys. We're going to let you go. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's great to talk to you. Good to see you, and we'll see you soon.
see you soon, guys. Be well. Appreciate
Thanks for what you do.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Yeah, because he really promotes the circle,
Yeah.
the left turn and stuff here.
He's
in
the guy.
in Central Texas.
Yeah, and he's a very good announcer, play-by-play announcer at the track, and you'll
Everybody
really,
knows him.
yeah, he does a great job. Yeah, and we work well together. I do my little pit thing down there at the Winter Circle, and he does his thing up there, and it's nice to work with him.
We've all thought you were a little pithy at times.
Well, pit boss.
Pitbull.
Pithy.
Pitbull.
I like it. All right.
And he pace car driver.
Well, I stopped that when I bought my new
I
tires.
was gonna say. That's expensive.
Well, no, it's not. It's not
Putting
that.
tires on.
Well, and it's not that it was wear or tear on the tires. It was the hot rubber that collected on my tires, and then when I get done doing the pace car driving, I'm going home.
As
Yeah,
you
it was
start.
surprising to
You've
see
collected
that
the
whenever you did
marbles.
that.
As
yeah.
the chunks fall off of it,
Yeah,
even
I was
after-
there.
you saw all of the chunks that were on it when I turned the tires in.
Yeah, you had them in here afterwards, and it was pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is surprising. I had no clue.
Well, that goes back to show when at the end of a F1 race,
Tire warm-ups.
they drive through the marbles to add weight to the vehicle because they weigh it with all that. Like you're collecting that. Think about how a drag slick would or slick would on a Formula One car would collect those marbles.
You have
tar balls.
People don't really know.
It's kind of like walking the beach in Galveston, get tar balls all over your feet.
Well, or like walking down the drag strip.
Or other places.
The first time I actually walked out onto the drag strip
Step out
where
of your shoes.
left your
oh
shoes
yeah,
out there.
I was shocked that it was that sticky.
Yeah, it's pretty
I mean,
incredible.
because up there where they do the burnouts and stuff, you would think it's where it would be, but it's not.
But it sounds so good when you're standing there in the nitro car.
Time now
goes
for
off.
this hour's car review. I had a chance to drive the 2022 Chevy Equinox. Comes in several trim levels. Starts with the LS, moves up to the LT, then the RS, and top of the line Premier trim level. I had the RS all-wheel drive. This is considered a small SUV. Seats 5 passengers, including the driver. Exterior changes, refreshed, new attractive look, including LED headlights. It really does look nice. And it had a very cool paint job on it. If you're into kind of a bluish turquoise, it's different. You haven't seen that in a long time. Something that your mother would drive.
Kind of reminds me of back in the 60s, the Seafoam.
Yes.
When I first saw it, I thought of that Seafoam blue-green.
Exterior features include an attractive new styling swoops along the side of it. You'd have to see it to understand it fully. Stylish Chevy brand grille. Black wheels came with the RS package. Looked really sharp, especially with the lighter body, and then the black wheels really stood out. Quad exhaust tips on this one. What I liked, the new pale turquoise paint color. Beautiful. What could use improvement? Nothing. I think it looks really good. Interior highlights. Big infotainment system that's easy to use right up there in the center of the dash. Conveniently placed controls throughout. Heated seats didn't work.
Didn't work?
Did not work.
I wonder if it was chipless.
Because on the window sticker it said later retrofit.
Yeah.
Noted on the window sticker, because if you stop and think about it,
Takes a chip.
it takes a chip.
To warm your
or
tush.
two. And
Tush chip.
think about this. So if they save 1 or 2 chips per vehicle and they make
100,000 of them.
or 100,000 of them, think of all the chips that they can spread across the other brands.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something all the manufacturers have done is restricted certain options.
The other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is 36% Canadian parts, 40% Mexican parts. Isn't that funny? I never, just kind of looking at the window sticker, I really never pay much attention to that, but I
Right.
thought that was pretty interesting. Very little American parts on that
so it's
particular
poutine
vehicle.
with nacho sauce.
There you go, something like that.
like
Cargo
that.
trunk room, sized right for a young family. What I liked the whole thing, actually. What could use improvement? I felt the interior felt a little less compelling than the GMC Terrain interior, which was its exact. It probably
They're
goes down
sisters,
the same
yeah,
same
sister
down
cars.
assembly line. Passive phone charger was too small for my giant Galaxy Note
You're ginormous.
Galaxy Note.
engine. 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 170 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque, 6-speed automatic transmission, tows up to 1,500 pounds, hauls about 1,118 pounds. Rated 25 city, 30 highway for a combined of 27 miles per gallon. I got 27.6 over 481.4 miles. I didn't realize I drove it that far, but
Wow.
apparently I did. What I liked, it's a competent gas miser. I like that a lot. A little more horsepower with the 6-speed would be something that you could use improvement, but that's not what it's about. It's about saving money with the smaller engine. Ride and handling, compliant, comfortable, likable. What could use improvement there? Nothing. Base trim price $31,700. Price is tested $35,970, but you can get in this for the stripper model at $25,800. That's a bargain.
Sweet spot for
Yeah,
that
it
price.
truly is. Competitors, Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, and the GMC Terrain, all within about $5,000 of the base price. And that is my review of the 2022 Chevrolet Equinox. All right. Time now for a quick break here on the In Wheel Time car program. I want to remind everybody that this show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast source. And as I said, In Wheel Time show continues right after this quick break.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupi trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, the place for weekly entertaining car talk. Coming up, Conrad has the popular This Week in Auto History. We'll get you updated on the stories making car news this week as well. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin, always. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. And speaking of joining us right now, from the Houston Electric Automobile Association is Dave Hansen. Dave, good morning.
Hello, Dave.
Dave?
Dave, are you on mute?
Dave's not here.
Hello, Dave.
Dave.
Oh,
Hello.
There he is.
There we go.
Open the pod bay doors.
Ow. Yeah, exactly.
How are you, Dave?
Great. Yeah, I had your audio and then it stopped, and now you're back. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Good. Glad that you could join us this morning. We appreciate it. So, the Houston Electric Automobile Association, what is that?
So the Houston Electric Auto Association is part of the national organization. We've got a whole lot of chapters from coast to coast. And we here in Houston have been around since the 90s. I joined myself in 1994.
Did they even have
And
electric cars in 1990?
Yes. They had lead acid batteries and very short ranges. And most of the ones that were on the road were conversions. So we had club members who would take an old gasoline car with a blown engine, and they would take out that engine, but leave in the transmission. And they would connect up a big electric motor, maybe from a forklift or something, and a whole lot of lead acid batteries. And that was the type of electric car that was on the road then. Now, of course, folks have a lot of choices from all the OEMs, original equipment makers.
Yeah, well, my dad would have been one of those to make an electric car. Of course, back then with the lead acid batteries, you'd have to have solid tires because it would weigh so much. Yeah. I couldn't imagine going down the street with it.
You know, we talked about last week.
Exactly.
Back then, Chevrolet made an S10 EV, and then they also made the EV1, but the EV1 was a lease only. But
that was a weird-looking car.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But the lead-acid battery was the only choice back in those days.
Yes.
Because they didn't have the battery technology they have today. And the battery technology looking for in the future, where do you think the change of batteries is going to be? Getting away from lithium and moving to like a lithium sulfate?
Well, there's a number of different chemistries that are being looked at. There are some solid-state batteries using lithium. There's also sodium is a popular chemistry being researched. And so, yeah, batteries are, I would call them good today, and they're going to get to be great in the future.
What kind of car do you have?
So we started with, after my early lead acid one in the 90s, we started with a plug-in hybrid from Ford, the Ford C-Max, and now my son drives that. My wife and I both drive Teslas right now.
Which models?
So she likes the Model S, and so we have a 2014 Model S we bought used, and I have the Model 3, which I bought as a new vehicle right when they came out in 2018.
Nice.
Are you satisfied with them?
We are very satisfied. And one difference that I'd like to point out to folks, so we talked about chemistry improving. It was kind of funny. My son drove the Model 3 first from Houston to Arizona, and then he drove the older Model S, the 4-year older car, back in the other direction. And he said, wow, it takes a lot longer to charge the older one. Just in 4 years of battery development, he noticed how much difference there was. I kind of wish he had driven him in the other order, because then he would have had the slower charging first and the faster charging second.
And when you talk about the charge and going from here to Arizona, again, I know that the cars know where the supercharging stations are. Was that using supercharging, or was that using a lower output charger?
We did it all with superchargers, and they've spaced them out exactly right along I-10, which is typically the road that you use to get from here to Arizona. And it just worked out great. As you said, they show up on the screen. You don't have to really work at figuring out which of the exits to take so that you end up at an exit with a supercharger. And now it's getting to the point with the range on the vehicles. Sometimes you can skip one supercharger and just do every other.
And that the superchargers, the Tesla superchargers, are Tesla exclusive, right? That's not something you could pull into with a Leaf or a Bolt and use.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Elon,
now in our club, we have members with all different brands of cars, so we're pretty agnostic. And a friend just bought an Ioniq 5, and happened to be that the one that she wanted to pick up was in Atlanta. So she's been a club member for a long time, so she's real familiar. She's had a couple of other electric vehicles before that. Unfortunately, the last one she had got rear-ended and totaled, and so she was looking around, and she saw the Ioniq 5 being really good. And of course, you don't use superchargers with non-Tesla brands. And so she familiarized herself with the Electrify America network, which is expanding quite quickly. And she found that worked out great for doing the drive from Atlanta to Houston to bring her car home.
and what a good-looking car that is, though, too. I think the Ioniq 5, for its category of small SUV, is really pretty.
Hey, Dave, Robert's also joined us, but Robert's on mute. So we can't hear Robert.
Unmute
I need
you,
Robert to
Talk
unmute.
to us. Say hi,
Okay,
Robert. Wave at
Robert's
us.
our vice president, and he does a lot of work for the club too.
There he is.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
Okay, great.
He lost his
Glad
voice.
to have you with us again.
What kind of
you
what kind of EV do you drive?
I personally, I used to drive a Volt, which is a plug-in hybrid that Dave was describing. That it's you get X amount of all electric miles, and then it converts seamlessly to gas powered. And there were some weeks that I didn't even have to use a drop of gasoline, if you could believe that or not. Right now, I'm driving a Chevy Bolt, B-O-L-T. This sounds so familiar, you have to spell it out, B-O-L-T, B-O-L-T. And I've got about 17,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
Gas-free. And the best thing about it is I've been with Green Mountain Energy, which gets its power from West Texas windmills, wind farms. So it's no coal, no gas, no nukes, no natural gas, no oil. So it's clean, truly clean. EVs powered by PVs, solar power is the best way to go.
Didn't that car have a fire issue?
It does, and they are issuing a recall. I'm waiting on some batteries. They're going to replace it free. Actually, it was the problem with the manufacturer Samsung, but it's used in Chevy vehicles, so it's Chevy's problem. but they're addressing that. And I had a fire in I call it a barbecue in my old VW diesel Jetta, clean diesel Jetta. So it's
that was real clean,
worse
I
in
imagine.
internal combustion engine or ICE cars than it is in electric cars.
So you are familiar with thermal events in the cars that you've had. Do you park your bolt outside?
Inside?
No, I just make sure it's not charging at night. And then I make sure it doesn't go all the way to 100% charge. And
is that
don't take
when
it too low? So just keep it in the mid-range. And it's been so cold lately that I'm not worried about that, about overheating in the garage.
And is the charge level something that Chevrolet's instructed you to do so you can continue to drive it? You know, because you just talked about certain parameters of a level of charge and leaving it unattended charging overnight. Now, were those instructions that you guys learned or on an online form, or were those instructions that came out from Chevrolet?
It came from Chevy, and they warned us just don't usually charge up to 75% or 80%. Don't charge it to 100, and don't let it go down to 0. And they said just don't charge it overnight in your garage. Preferably charge it, leave it outside. But I leave it in my garage, and I'm not worried about it overheating in my garage, right? Especially now.
What does Chevrolet say to you when it comes to fixed timeline?
They sent me some letters. They don't have any specific timeline. I'm still waiting. I haven't had any bad luck with it so far, so I'm not really worried about it. My car's 2020. It was mostly affecting some of the earlier ones, 2017, 18. So I'm not too concerned, and I just keep it charged up to 80% and make sure it doesn't go down to 0.
Has Chevrolet offered to buy it back?
No, they offered to replace the batteries.
Okay.
We have had some other members' experiences with the Bolt, and one member, he did decide to take the buyback offer, and he's now driving the Volkswagen ID4, and he and his family are real happy with that, and he tows their little camping trailer all around. And so, as Robert said, I think it was the earlier ones that had the problem, but I think that GM made a good decision to recall all of them, though, even though the later ones didn't have the problem. Once they get all the batteries replaced, then people can have confidence in that particular brands of GM electric vehicles.
Do you guys also have a gasoline-powered vehicle?
So in our family, we don't use any other gasoline-powered vehicles. The plug-in hybrid, which I said we have still that our son drives, of course, reverts over to the gasoline engine once you've expended the electric range. But the really great story that I like to tell people about the range of a small range PHEV like that, both of our sons, when they were a senior in high school, they didn't want to take the bus anymore. So we said, okay, you can drive the car to school. And as I mentioned, it has a 19-mile range. Well, the round trip for each of them for their senior year in high school was 13 miles to get to the high school and back. So they had their routine. The car was parked on the side of the driveway, and I had the charging cord come out from under the garage, and they would unplug it in the morning, drive off to high school, be at school, come home, park on the driveway, and plug it in again. And of course, it'd be ready the next morning. So you know the old saw about trying to get your teenager to put gas in the car. Well, right. Neither of our sons ever did, because our car never burned any gas. It just put a little bit more on.
Just had to remember to plug it in.
Right. They were good at doing that. And so, that was great. And so that car is still here in the family, but we tend to drive the BEVs, the full battery electric vehicles, all the time now.
As an organization, your members have been doing this a while, so they fully understand the time to distance, time to charge, mileage to charge as you're moving. You know, you've talked about going to Arizona and going to Atlanta, that really the fear some of us bring on ourselves about range anxiety really isn't something to be concerned with as you learn how to manage time to distance and mileage to distance.
Right. Yeah. You know, all of us are getting new electronic devices all the time, and that's kind of basically what an electric car is. And so, we've found that once you've learned the way that you need to do your local driving and your long distance driving, For your local driving, say the average family, stays local 50 weeks a year and goes on a trip 2 weeks a year, the time savings of not having to go to a gas station, not having to stand outside in bad weather, because you're just refueling at home 50 weeks of the year is great. And then you do have to do some more planning for that 2-week trip. And of course, if you're going to fly somewhere, you might just rent a car and your car will stay at home. And the other alternative I often bring up to people is that if you don't feel comfortable by taking an electric car and, trying to do that trip, just rent a car for that time period and then you give it back.
Oh, okay.
And so that way fewer gasoline cars are produced. But if you're going to take a trip through some mountain areas and you don't know where their chargers are at, just rent the car during that time. Once you do get used to it, and especially if you're driving along the interstates and in urban areas, nowadays there's chargers just about everywhere.
Interesting. That's
interesting.
actually pretty interesting because I'm a person, I haven't driven EVs at any length at all, so I'm one of those people with the range anxiety. But the more EVs become popular in the industry, the less that's going to be an issue, because the more infrastructure is going to be built up around for the charging stations.
Well, I have terrible range anxiety, and I have it for a reason, because all I have is 110 volts here at the house. And I'm not going to go out and buy, a rapid charger or a 220 or whatever for my house to drive a press car that I get to drive for a week. So therefore, I've got to go up to Whole Foods and get a rapid charge. It takes me 40 minutes to do that.
But if you were going to buy one to own full time, that would be an investment you might make.
You get a tax break, don't you?
But let me ask you. Yeah, there's tax breaks and stuff. But if you are renting a house, are you going to take that expense?
No.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to take that. I just thought of that while you were talking. You have to take that into consideration about the expense to upgrade the wiring or whatever to get the charger in that'll do what you need to do. Is the landlord going to let you do that? And, it starts getting into.
So how much do these upper-level chargers cost to install at home?
So typically when someone wants to upgrade from a 120 volt to a 240 volt, because all the cars come with at least a charge cord that allows you to charge the regular outlet at 120.
Yes.
Typical device, the actual charger, would probably be about $500, and then installation by an electrician might be another $500. But there's a really interesting device on the market now, and I think there's at least 3 different companies that make them. If your dryer outlet happens to be close to where your garage is, and a lot of houses, they actually have their washer and dryer in the garage, it actually will split that outlet, and it will give priority to your clothes dryer so that anytime that you want to use it just as you always would. But then it also provides an outlet where you can plug in the 240 volt car charger, and that way it will just draw from that same dryer outlet. And of course, it's going to vary depending on what someone's own personal arrangement is.
Anything is better than the 110 volts, I can promise you that.
Yeah, I've tried that.
Well,
myself.
again, charging a battery is all about voltage and amperage. You can only move so much amperage at a certain voltage, and you can move more at a higher voltage. So
get the lead out.
I didn't realize that they were using a plug into your dryer 3-prong as an alternative to the charging system.
I actually had several cars. This is several years ago. Several cars that were delivered to me, and I will tell you that the 220 worked well. I unplugged the dryer because the outlet was up on the wall. I could do that. Unplugged it, plugged in the car, and it was twice as fast as the 110. Mm-hmm. It still wasn't as fast as a rapid charger up at Whole Foods, but at least I could get a 80% charge overnight.
Right. The 110, it'd take you a couple of days.
And now they don't even supply in any of the cars that we get a charger that will plug into your dryer for whatever reason. I don't know why. But if they did, I would have to go steal somebody's electric dryer outlet and plug it in.
Now, are these chargers that you talk about that are on the road, are they all the same connection, or do you need to carry like a universal pack of connectors, or are they all the same?
Well, other places like in Europe, they've forced Tesla to convert over to a universal adapter.
Well, that's like their normal electricity there, too. You would carry an adapter over in Europe.
Well, for us, but the people that live there.
Right.
So in the U.S. right now, what we have is a situation. We have the Tesla-type connectors. And often I kind of equate those to an iPhone where it has its own unique connector. And then we have the universal connector that all the other brands, BMW, Ford, we talked about already, the Ioniq, all of those use the universal one established by SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, and they call that the CCS standard, the Combined Charging Standard. And what that does is it uses the upper round connector that we were already talking about. If you charge at 120 or 240, that goes through that upper round connector, but it adds 2 more pins at the bottom for that DC fast charging. So that's what these other networks like Electrify America and EVgo, they all use that universal one. Tesla is still using its own. We have heard reports that already in some places like Korea, they've come out with a Tesla to universal adapter. And we are expecting that might come to the U.S. at some point, too. And the other thing that it's kind of maybe forcing Tesla to open up its supercharger network to other cars is the fact that there's the infrastructure law passed in the Congress in Washington, D.C., said that they want more charging to be built out around the country. But in order to qualify, all vehicles must use it. So Tesla, I think, is considering opening up its superchargers to other brands of cars.
For a fee, because Elon doesn't do anything for free.
Probably will be. And that's kind of interesting. People often say, oh, well, with Teslas, you can use the superchargers for free, right? And the answer is kind of yes and no. In their first cars that they came out, and so I mentioned we have an older Model S, 2014, and a newer Model 3, 2018. Our Model S actually includes the supercharging. I tend not to say free because you bought it when you paid for the price of the car. So its lifetime is able to, we drive that car, as I mentioned, to Arizona, and you use the superchargers, there's no cost. Our Model 3 was built later, and so on the screen, you see something like, $5.60 to get a full charge. And so then you drive another 200 miles and then you plug in and it puts it on your credit card that you have on file. Right. So it's still just as easy. You come into the supercharger location, you just plug the car in. When you're up to the level you want to be, you unplug it and you
off you go.
Kind of like putting gas. You put in how much gas you want, you put in how much electricity you want.
Dave, Robert, how can we get a hold of Houston Electric Auto Association?
Well, you just got a hold of us now. Our website is heaa.org. I believe I sent Mr. Mars a list of multiple websites, but you can go to heaa.org. Our parent club is myeva.org. And that's for the nation and even Canada. So there's a lot of websites that you can go to. There's a wealth of information, YouTube, the internet. And,
you send a lot of stuff over.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate you guys joining us today. Dave, Robert, thank you.
Yeah,
Houston Electric Auto Association. Great to talk to you guys, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, time now for This Week in Auto History, and I know that we have Conrad.
We have video for it.
Well, I mean,
Mars is working on it, so we'll stall for a couple of moments until they.
So what are you going to talk about today?
Well, am I doing auto history?
Yes,
that's what I have written down here.
Well, there's the cruise. If you think about what happened last couple of weeks, there's a lot of NASCAR in This Week in Auto History, but we're going to start off with. Well, maybe
just
we
talk
won't.
real slow.
Well, why don't we not worry about the video?
In 1911, the first self-starter was patented. Okay, the first self-starter was patented by Charles Kettering and installed in a Cadillac. So instead of, remember the spin crank and breaking shoulders and elbows and losing teeth, all of that went away when Kettering came out with a self-starting Cadillac, and then that spread across the GM brands relatively quick. Mm-hmm. In 1948, NASCAR was founded to standardize the rules for auto racing, which were often organized by moonshiners, which really the NASCAR history was about moonshiners. A lot of the guys in the early 50s and 60s were rum runners. You
knew a few of those and still do, don't you?
I know one guy who distills his own. I won't
It's
talk
okay.
about
I mean, it's all right.
It's
In
legal.
1954, the Ford Thunderbird was born as a prototype. It wouldn't be released on the market on a wide scale until later in the year, and as a 1955 model, and it was the two-seater that was to compete with the Corvette, except Thunderbird had a V8. It never had the inline six. So
Do you think that that's what pushed the Chevrolet to put a V8 in the
I
Corvette?
think it might have been part of it. Yes, I really do. And then it was an image car, but it sold for $2,944, and that came with not just the hard top; it came with a canvas top and a dial radio. So the Thunderbird is only a couple of years older than the Corvette. And then in 1959, it's kind of hard to talk about Daytona 500 without talking about the Petty family. And this week in 1959, Lee Petty won the first Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway, driving what?
Plymouth.
What would I brag about?
Oldsmobile.
Driving a new 1959 Oldsmobile 88.
Would have never guessed that.
Richard Petty was driving a 1957 Oldsmobile convertible in the same race. They were the only two Oldsmobiles in the race. But Lee Petty won the inaugural Daytona 500. In 1972, that marks the anniversary of A.J. Foyt's Daytona 500 win, and that victory cemented his place in history as the only driver to win the Indy 500, to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and to win the Daytona 500. And it just kind of talks about what a driver AJ was. I don't think he is anymore.
I think that's who Rodney's going to have on.
That's what I was wondering if when he talked about the area. And then in 1973, Richard Petty, the king of stock car racing, won the Daytona 500 before a crowd of over 100,000 spectators, marking the first time that a stock car race had over 100,000 spectators. No longer would there be questions about NASCAR's mainstream popularity. Petty became the first man to win 6 Daytona 500s. And when you see the picture of Richard Petty, he is driving what? A 1976 Oldsmobile. Thank you, Richard. In 2001, it was a sad day at the Daytona 500 because this is the day that Dale Earnhardt lost this is the week that Dale Earnhardt lost his life, and that was 21 years ago.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir. A couple of stories making automotive news headlines this week. Ford said it will halt production at its Kansas City plant that makes the F-150 pickup truck. And they're going to stop production for a week due to the semiconductor shortage. Ford F-150's plant in Dearborn will continue to function. The F-150 is Ford's top-selling vehicle and, along with other large utility vehicles and vans, generates the bulk of the company's global profit. In another cutback, Ford's Kentucky truck plant, which builds Super Duty, Expedition, and Navigator, will operate on just one shift next week per a memo to employees. It's getting worse.
Well, one of the things you didn't talk about in your recall list is Ford is recalling a whole bunch of years of Super Duty pickup trucks, F-250s and some 350s that are only gasoline powered because of an aluminum prop shaft. That the drive shafts are failing in them.
And the U.S. Postal Service, God bless them, has finalized a contract to replace its mail truck fleet with almost all gasoline-powered vehicles, drawing an angry response from the
AOC.
From Biden administration officials who unsuccessfully pushed the agency to buy electric. The record of decision signed Wednesday represents the culmination of a failed lobbying effort by the Environmental Protection Agency and top Biden administration officials to persuade the Postal Service to shift course. The independent agency can now move forward with its $6 billion plan to begin purchasing as many as 165,000 small mail trucks over the next 10 years from the Wisconsin military truck maker Oshkosh.
Have you seen the truck?
As many as 90% of those will run on gasoline instead of batteries, according to the plan. Yes, I've seen it, and it's ugly as hell.
It's very disorienting about how big the front glass is.
It looks like something from the movie Cars.
Yeah, I would agree. There is a cartoonish look to it because that front end is so weird looking. But I'm very surprised that they did not do EV.
Well,
I'm thinking the cost savings had they gone EV as opposed to gasoline.
Well, apparently the Postal Service is kind of
independent.
Yes, they are. They're not really covered by the government anymore. It's like, nee, boo, boo. We're not going to buy you danged electrics.
All righty.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. I mean, I did.
You surely did.
I did.
Don't call me Shirley.
All right. Time now for a quick break. We're going to be right back right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Hope you stay with us.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupe Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupe Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupe trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupe Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
All right. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Jeffrey has our pre-owned car of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Pace with the Tesla Club of Greater Houston. No, that's not.
Wrong place.
It's the wrong place, and I've got the wrong stuff. And I do this occasionally where I didn't get anyway. Joining us, forget all of that. Joining us is Cameron Wolf, Helfman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We're going to talk about auto finance and credit ratings and higher prices and all of
how that all works.
And it's to me, I am totally lost when it comes to that stuff. So, going to learn something today.
All right.
Looking forward to that.
Might as well go to the expert, somebody
absolutely.
who does it every day.
Dollar down, dollar when you catch me.
And then later on, we're going to have some other good stuff, including automotive news headlines. And let me see your sheet.
Sure. They get to flip the back.
And we're also, pardon me?
I thought you were going to backwards.
And things you should know about engine sludge.
Oh, is that going to be on there? We're also going to
topic
have the racing calendar. Engine sludge. God, I hate that when that happens. You got to take a pill for that. Anyway, thank you for joining us today on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, and me, Don Armstrong. We're going to try to keep the dog inside here.
He's messing with it.
Susie keeps going out, opening the door, and it freezes in here. Well, she'll be cold. She'll be knocking on it.
She'll knock on the door later.
She can go to the house.
Okay.
Oh, he's locked her out. That's funny.
Yeah, don't worry about her. She can take care of herself for the most part. Joining us now, Cameron Wolf with Helfman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Good morning, Cameron. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. And I know that you're a smart guy. I am not. And I might ask, I'm going to preface this before we get going, that I'm really dumb and I know absolutely nothing about auto finance, how it works, how you deal with higher prices, markups, credit ratings, all of the things that go in with auto finance. And, People have their own financing when they walk in the door. People expect you to provide them with financing.
And then they have incentivized manufacturers financing for. I'm assuming most of the time the manufacturers' incentivized financing is for kind of an upper level credit rating. Is that true, Cameron?
Premier.
It honestly just depends, and that's kind of like the role we play. We always try to kind of help people get that kind of incentivized financing. Obviously, lower payments and lower interest rates is better for everyone. It makes it easier to sell them cars in the future, makes them comfortable with their monthly payments. They can afford to live and do kind of everything else they want to do. That's why we always try to give it to as many people as we can.
And how do you qualify somebody? Do you check their credit rating? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so originally, obviously, there's the credit score, but a lot of the time, the credit score isn't going to be as important as the type of stuff they have on their credit. So we sometimes have customers with really high credit scores, but they've never really financed cars or houses or anything kind of substantial. So sometimes you can have a lower credit score, but you've proven you can pay off cars and afford cars and houses. So those types of customers, it's easier to get them done than customers with higher scores with just a couple credit cards on there. So it's based on a lot of factors, down payment, stuff like that. And it's a lot more complicated than just looking at the credit score.
And then who organizes all of those different aspects of what they qualify for to make that final decision?
Is it the salesperson, or do you have the finance person?
Or is it the bank?
So it's a combination. It's the salesperson, there's a sales manager, and then there's a finance manager. So based on kind of budget constraints and credit, the salesman and the sales manager are supposed to work together to kind of find out the car they think would be best for that customer based on those factors. Then once that process is kind of finished, then the finance manager gets involved and tries to get kind of the best overall deal for the customer so everyone's happy.
And as a dealership, this will probably come out wrong. Do you prefer handling the financing or the customer who comes in with prearranged financing?
I think we would prefer overall to handle the financing. It just gives us more opportunities, especially with extended warranties, stuff of that nature. It also helps with our relationships with the banks, and we love sending them deals, and my favorite is a customer that has financing, but we do a better job and get them a better financing deal. So
okay. Well, that makes sense.
Us. They're happier, we're happier, everyone's happier.
Yeah, because generally the customer is going to come in they have a single source of financing available. Correct. Where you're going to look over a range of different finance opportunities for them.
So Cameron, would it be a problem if I walked in with, say, $30,000 worth of cash money, and then I just said, "Here you go"?
Not at all.
I had to throw that out there because I would imagine that every once in a while somebody does that.
I mean, outside of everything else, our number one goal and priority is just to move metal, sell cars. Everything else is just kind of decoration. At the end of the day, we're there to sell cars and to see the Helfman license plates in as many driveways as possible.
How is the dealership doing out there as far as inventory is concerned, and how are you managing all of this?
We have a lot less cars than we used to have, obviously, due to supply chain issues. We're doing the best we can. We used to be in a market where customers I want a blue car with yellow interior with a sunroof and this. It doesn't really work like that. Customers are kind of having to settle and not getting exactly what they want, or they can just order the car and then they have to wait a few months to get exactly what they want.
Well, yeah, it's the days of having 500 units in inventory are behind us.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for the time being, yes.
And then how has that impacted your F&I department with the increasing value of used cars as that used car target, I think, is moving up in value, and how the appraisal valuation, how much money you can buy on a used car?
Yeah, and that's the value of it not being all computer. So the bankers I call know that. Obviously, I know that. So if it was kind of computer driven, it would be a lot more challenging. But luckily, my job is to have relationships with all the different people at the banks to explain situations, stories, why they're financing more. So that human element plays into it, and it makes it easier to get it done. because of that human element. Everyone kind of knows what's going on and everyone works together. And that's what I know one of y'all mentioned, that incentivized program for the manufacturer. That's obviously been very helpful for us too, because people that are financing more, their payments don't go up as much if I can get them that 0%, that 1.9, and that helps offset everything.
Do you still have a few cars in inventory that you're offering that on?
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Didn't know that.
I didn't either. And the reason I ask is because, things are tight. And,
as inventory goes down, generally manufacturers' incentive programs disappear. Not
Correct.
quite disappear,
Yes.
but aren't as lucrative as they used to be.
Yeah, you're seeing they're leaning more towards the financing incentives than like the rebates. I guess that does better for the manufacturer, and it's better for the customer, better for us. And because the monthly payment for so many customers is so important. And obviously lower interest rates help with that a lot.
So let me ask you, so do you get involved with the financing of the pre-owned per se? Or is it
Yes,
mainly
sir.
the new? Okay. So if the, because this is where I get stuck sometimes, if the pre-owned pricing has gone up 30 to 40%, depending on who you want to listen to. Used to, you had a Blue Book or NADA said this is what the loan value of this vehicle is. Well, if the price has gone up 30 to 40%, how is that being handled? Are people having to put down 30 to 40% more, or is that banking relationship you have developed come into play?
Both of those things, but the biggest thing is that the valuations of the car would be going up too. So it allows you to kind of finance more based on that increased evaluation. But absolutely, but that's even before this. We've always had situations where cash down is important. It helps you so much get the better deal for the customer, and obviously the overall approval depending on the credit profile.
And is that same thing hold true with a trade-in for a new car?
Well, if we're selling the used cars for more, luckily the trade-in would be worth more originally, so it kind of offsets in a way. Like I have especially a lot of my friends and customers, they're like, I can sell my car and get this more than what I paid 2 years ago. But then the problem is, well, then I have to go buy a car and pay more than what I paid 2 years ago.
Right.
Exactly. So it's kind of like a lot. It's like, yeah.
And then in Texas, they don't get the tax trade differential.
No, you do.
No, I mean if they sell it personally.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. If you don't trade in front of their car, you lose the taxes incentive. Yes.
So trading it in.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You get the tax trade differential. So let's say you trade in a $20,000 car and buy a $30,000 car. You're only going to pay taxes on that $10,000 differential. But if you sell it outright for $22,000, you pay taxes on $30,000.
Correct.
So
That's why, unless you're like way off, it's a lot of the times better because some people, they shop their trade in some places, and sometimes it ends up being better. Even if we offer a little bit less with the tax incentive, it ends up they're getting more value out of it.
Right. And that's the math that the dealership brings to you if you give them the opportunity.
So in other words, I need to bring my CPA because I'm terrible at that sort of stuff.
Well, but that's what the
That's what the
F&I guy's
salesman
gonna help
and the
you with,
salesman
yeah.
house would drop in that car.
That's when I go to Helfman out there. I talk to Cameron and say, "You help me, walk me through this.
Go to
and
him
show
first.
me, hold my hand through this.
Go to him first.
Absolutely.
Well, so what? I know that you're limited in inventory. What do you sell the most of now that you don't have 500 cars on the lot?
We sell a lot of Jeeps and trucks are kind of our bread and butter. So Grand Cherokees, Wranglers, we can get them, half-ton Ram trucks. Those are without a doubt our most popular.
Well, they're the most popular anyway.
Right.
So
Yes,
that's interesting that you're able to get those still. How quickly do you sell them? I mean, when they hit the ground, you probably got most of them sold.
Pre-sold off the truck.
Yes, sir. We pre-sell a lot of cars that are in transit. And luckily, they just redid all the Grand Cherokees. The body style looks unbelievable.
Yeah, it does.
The
I
Grand
got to sell
Wagoneer,
one.
yeah.
Very nice.
Those are selling pretty quickly. I took a Grand Cherokee. I'm driving a Grand Cherokee right now, and I'd probably give it 2 days before it sells. I mean, they sell very quickly.
And then Helfman's Kirby just south of 59, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And kind of if you get on the West Park Tollway, when the West Park Tollway finally ends at Kirby, you're staring at Helfman.
I like
Yes,
the
sir.
commercials. I think the commercials are hilarious.
Well, but it's also and it's a rarity in the Houston market. You guys are family owned and have been forever.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You know, Elfman's.
We have a Ford dealership in Stafford, Texas, as well, and Maserati and Alfa Romeo at our location on the Katy Freeway and in Sugar Land.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lots of choices of a family-owned store, and there's fewer and fewer family-owned stores. As Susie's outside barking, "Let me in, let me in! I'm freezing." Susie's the dog.
That's another good part of us being family-owned. We really do have the relationships at the bank to really help customers that we wouldn't get that personal attention. I mean, our owner will walk on the showroom floor and call a bank on behalf of a random customer he doesn't know to help them out, to get them a better deal, to get in that tier bump, to get that 0% rather than that. I mean, we've had customers that were approved at a really high interest rate, and one phone call from one of us, they get 1.9 from 15%. One phone call. So it's pretty crazy the power we have when we make those calls and what we can do because we are family owned.
Now, are you physically down at the Kirby location, or are you out on I-10?
I'm on I-10.
Okay. Yeah, I-10 just outside the 610.
Right next to IKEA.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been out to that store before.
Yeah, I've been out there as well.
Stan Holt, who buys all of his Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram products, buys them from that store. Yeah. So, I'm familiar with it. They got a really nice operation out there. You feel comfortable walking in. No high pressure.
It's a nice, I'll say facility. It's kind of a couple of facilities because they do multiple brands.
Yeah.
With the Maserati and the Fiat.
Yeah, it is. It works well, and the nice thing is that you get all the Katy traffic. Hey man, I work downtown, and it's an easy way to stop
you're driving by on the way,
right? Exactly.
Twice a day.
Yep. So anyway, that works well. I think I worked with your dad several years ago on a deal that my daughter had got a fender bent. Actually, somebody on a bicycle hit her in the front fender. He went flying over the hood. He ran into her. And he went flying over the hood, got upset, "I'm sorry," and then drove off. Well, could we have the insurance? Oh, no, there he goes. Put a big dent in it. So your dad helped me on that deal, and that was a good deal, I think.
That's good to hear. That's crazy.
Back to that family-owned concept.
Yeah, exactly. Family. So at any rate, well, so what are you guys looking forward to or not looking forward to in the next few months with the situation with the chip shortage and
Ukraine
now? Have you even talked about that?
Ukraine?
Yeah.
Not in the sense of it's horrible what's going on in Ukraine, but not in the sense of how it's affecting the car business right now. No.
Yeah,
but it is horrible.
Yeah, I think the impact on the car business is going to be there. It may be a few more months down the road, right, as those natural resources change hands and those in control of them.
People just don't like instability and uncertainty, and hopefully that gets resolved pretty quickly because it's pretty horrible what's going on over there. Yeah.
Well, so as far as the dealership is concerned, have you gotten any kind of communication from Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Stellantis about what they're looking forward to in the future, or not looking forward to, but how it's going to affect their output and you getting cars from them?
It's pretty apparent that it's starting to ramp up. We're starting to get more cars, which is good. It was a couple months ago. It was a lot less than what it is now, and you're seeing sold orders come in quicker. You're seeing more variety. You're starting to see it kind of heat up. And based on our understanding, in the next year or two, things should be going back to normal, or at least very, very close, which is good.
So you think the days of 500, 700 units in inventory are within a year from now?
Hopefully in the next 2 years.
Okay.
Obviously, there's so many uncertainties. There's no way to obviously know for sure, but it's starting to feel things are going back to normal a little bit.
Well, I think that the pandemic and the mask restrictions with the CDC saying you don't have to wear them like this anymore, and I think that things are beginning to look up as far as
people are seeing it to be back to normal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The question is, will the supply chain of chips get back to normal as well, and how that impacts the automotive industry?
Well, we're all keeping our fingers crossed.
Well, I know that all of them are talking about bringing some chip production back to the States.
Yes,
but that's going to take years to bring online.
So, Cameron, how's the parts department and the service department working? I mean, I know that you guys have a very capable and nice service department there, and I assume that you're staying busy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy because some people maybe that were thinking of buying cars around this time are waiting a year. So they're going and fixing their cars and doing modifications, upgrade to their cars. So it's been kind of great for the service department in that respect, which has been nice. And what's really crazy about all it's not just cars. I know my dad tried to buy a new stove, and it's like a year wait to get the stove. I mean, it's everything. This chip shortage is like affecting everything. It's crazy. It really is crazy.
I didn't know that there was a shortage of stoves.
You have to think
Refrigerators,
the electronics
sure.
that are
They're
in
in everything.
Everything right now is going to have a chip in it. Washer dryers, and the higher the level of that component, the more chips are involved. You got to figure there's 40, 50 different chips in different cars, depending on the level of content. Cameron, have you guys seen Chrysler going restricted RPO production options to lower the chip count on the vehicle?
Not specifically yet. There's certain, in terms of when you build the order, there's certain things you can and can't do, especially with the new body style, but not specifically for that, no.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we had talked earlier about one of the reviews we did. One of the features wasn't available on that vehicle because they said it'll be retrofitted in the future. And with that, I know that's all about plugging a module in because of a chip shortage.
They probably do that more like, especially when it comes to us in terms of the cars they give us for inventory. But for sold orders and specific orders, they're very flexible. They're building what we're asking them to build, and it's not taking very long, which has been really great in terms of when you order your car, it really does work out for the customer and us.
So if I wanted to buy a brand new Wrangler, a two-door Wrangler, not the top of the line, but the medium type, how long would it take me to get that typically
from order date to delivery date? Rough guess.
And that's another one of those things, being a family-owned business. I mean, we call it every day to try to get it done as quick as possible. I mean, the goal is 6 weeks to 10 weeks, in that range is kind of, which is pretty good considering you're getting exactly what you want.
Yep.
And you don't have to settle.
And 6 weeks, really, you can go back.
That's on the
20.
That's on the faster end.
Yeah, I was going to say
six for sure.
6 weeks, even 20 years ago, it would take 5, 6, 7 weeks to get a vehicle. So it's not that it's that far off. Even if it was 10 weeks, it's still not that on that.
Well, the manufacturer's definitely prioritizing sold orders over. I mean, they're doing a really good job with getting those built.
So with that in mind, with Don's request of that two-door Jeep, are you doing more dealer trades, or is that still on the table for a lot of folks?
No, it's mostly kind of you sell what you have. You try to work when you can, but we really try to focus on the inventory we have in ordering. Because again, we really believe ordering. If there's what you want isn't here, you can get exactly what you want and not wait that long.
Cameron, it's great to talk to you. We really
so.
appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday to join us. Yeah, and Helfman, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, lots of locations. Look them up and go check them out. Cameron, thanks again. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for having me.
You bet.
You bet.
It's good. Good.
Well, I had assumed he was at the Kirby location. He is at the I-10 location, which is get past 610, take the first exit, and they're right there on your right.
Yeah, right there next to IKEA. All right, time now for the racing calendar. And we had the Daytona 500 last week. We have drag racing again this week. That's going to be in Phoenix, I think.
Erica won the Winter Nationals last week.
And she's qualified number
P1.
one.
Qualified P1 today. Antron Brown is qualified P6 in Top Fuel. So we're hoping Antron.
These are our favorites. So
they're the friends of the show. And then tomorrow night is the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, the 400-mile high-speed track there in California for NASCAR. IMSA, again, March 20th in Sebring. IndyCar starts this weekend at St. Petersburg, Florida. And we're going to go back to A.J. Foyt, who has two cars running in IndyCar this year. And one of them is a Colombian young lady who seems to be quite promising.
Doesn't she have an all-female crew? Or is that was in NASCAR?
I think that was in NASCAR.
Okay.
But, it'll be interesting to see. She's new to the IndyCar field, the complications of what an IndyCar is. You ever looked at a steering wheel on those? It's like 30 buttons to understand everything that you have to do. So, and St. Petersburg is a street course that has what I call the concrete bowling alley. there's no room for error. You really have to understand where you're
So
pointing.
we've got
that
a
car.
whole weekend of racing.
Yep. You will have NHRA, which generally is on FS1. Now they're not doing live at all. It usually comes on at like 9 p.m. at night.
I think there's only certain ones throughout the year they're going to go live.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And then you have NASCAR, which will probably be on midday, and then IndyCar may be on earlier because that's on the East Coast where NASCAR is coming out of California.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting times. Okay. Time now for this hour's car review. And Jeffrey's going to start a new series called Under 20.
Under 20.
Under 20. And today it's the Kia Forte.
Do we have any video?
No, forget that.
This is, like Don said, it's a new segment, and looking up, doing the research on some of these vehicles, there's a lot. There are a lot of vehicles
Yes,
under
there
20
are.
grand.
Right.
And they're new. They're fairly new. Now, y'all do the new car reviews. This is a year old. This is a 2021.
Okay.
And in a crowded segment, the Kia Forte, it does compete. It's got smart choices on the interior. It doesn't match the class leaders of the refinement and all the nice little accoutrements, and in performance. Accoutrements. But it's got plenty of value. Extended warranties. That's all good. They all do apply. The Kia Forte is a 5-seater vehicle that comes in 5 trim levels. The most popular is the FE manual, which keeps it going into that under 20 range. This vehicle starts at $18,800, which is fantastic. Comes with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 37 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
So that's perfect. Under 20 grand, 37,000. Mike could buy these for his granddaughters and still come out on the good end.
You hear that, Mike?
Yeah.
You can do that.
I got 5 granddaughters.
You know what?
So it's under $100,000.
Yeah, there you go. So the pros to this got Zippy Performance, intuitive infotainment system, excellent driver assist technology. The cons are a little bit on the cheap side, cheap plastic, weak engine base, but what do you expect?
It's under $20,000.
Thank you very much. It's a solid vehicle. It's a solid sedan. Drives with assurance and confidence and competence. It does do a lot of things well at the price, but it undercuts its competitors. The standard engine of one of these is the weak spot. It delivers an average performance at best on the average side. The optional engine in the GT trim goes a long way toward making the Forte a more fun vehicle to drive, but you're going to pay a little bit more.
Well,
it's not going to be under 20. Exactly. Right? So it's a no-nonsense interior. The quality of the materials are a little weak. It's got a good cabin environment. Infotainment, like I said, is good. Spacious trunk. It's got a lot of other appealing things going on with the competitors, and we're going to review those in the weeks ahead. So it's going to be great, and we'll keep going on the under 20.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, and that's a price point a lot of people are interested in
nowadays
for their granddaughters.
For their granddaughters, yes. I got a granddaughter that's going to be driving in a few years.
Yeah,
so
but your granddaughter's going to be driving a Cadillac. We know
most
that.
likely. Most likely.
Get her,
No, she will
get her
not.
CT5 V Series Blackwing.
I could give her.
that. She'd have to fight me for that one.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And she'd win.
She would win. Well,
She wants my SRX.
have you not? You've let her drive, haven't you?
We did that short comical video that when she was sitting in there. That was. I'll show you. It's. I still have it.
Are you trying to become a YouTube star?
No. This was a few
Jeff.
years
We
ago.
need more Jeff, the YouTube star.
She was sitting in the vehicle, and she told her how to start it. We're going to
teaching a 9-year-old how to drive a new
She's
Cadillac.
pretty much, yeah.
No, she's not 9.
She's
Well, she
14.
was then.
Well, she was a few years younger, yes. But, what is the D for? The D's for danger because Grandma uses that. Stuff like that.
You are in so much trouble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this, and she'll do fine.
Yep, she'll be fine.
I know that when I taught Katie how to drive the stick shift, that was an scenario.
And she's glad to this day that
She's
she
still
can.
driving that
Yep.
car.
She actually she favors Jeep. She likes the Jeep.
She does, yep.
I will tell you, one of my granddaughters has got her driver's permit, 15 years old, was driving with her other grandmother the other day, went to turn into the store per the grandmother's instructions, got popped on the side. She saw the green light up front of her, and she didn't understand that her driveway was about 50 feet in front of that, so the green light didn't have anything to do with traffic control for her driveway. It was all on her, and she pulled in. She just didn't get quite in far enough, and an F-250 caught her on the quarter. So she now has her first citation, which she didn't realize that was a ticket. She
Failure
heard
to yield.
Yeah, she heard me talking about citations, and
So you would know.
She didn't realize that was a ticket.
What is your driving record like, Mars? I mean, how many tickets
Once
have
a
you?
year, he can get rid of one.
That's
by
right.
taking driver's
I only
ed.
do one a year.
How many?
at the
but how
Comedy
many
Store.
tickets have you gotten in the past year?
We don't talk about those
No, I'm
things.
going to
No,
ask you.
in the past year, none.
None.
No.
It was the
How
year
about
before.
2 years ago?
Well, no, that's a different story.
How many?
I couldn't tell you.
Yes, you could. You know exactly.
He doesn't
how many.
want to tell
I will tell you, I've only had my license suspended once.
Oh dear God. Well, that's all we need to know.
We need to do a remote from the DPS office.
We should, with him standing in that line
He
that's
could
10
be the
miles
he
long.
could be the guinea pig.
All right. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available as well on your favorite podcast channel. The In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupi trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
We think it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We thank you for joining us. It's your place for entertaining car talk. Just ahead, Conrad has his weekly lesson in the car clinic. We'll have this week's auto news as well as a special guest. So we hope you're going to stay with us. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday. We truly appreciate that. And joining us right now from the left coast. I'm sorry. Why are you saying stop? Are you saying stop?
You're getting ahead of me again.
Uh-oh. I just hit the button.
Too late.
I hit it twice.
All right. If you hit it twice.
There we go.
Okay. We're good.
You know, we tried to do this in a professional manner, but no matter how hard we
we
try,
lost the computer this morning, so we're doing double duty here.
No, well, that's a pretty poor excuse.
So that's all I got.
It's the only one we got. But let's say hi to our guest.
Jim, it's good to see you, and I would use your last name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Would you help me, please?
Sure, it's Jim Lau.
Jim Law.
Lau.
Lau?
Okay.
Lau?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, Jim Lau.
Jim
I
Lau.
love your racetrack wall art behind you.
Yep.
He is the general manager about the performance racing industry, and we certainly appreciate you joining us. How are things out there on the left coast this morning?
It's great. It's a little brisk, but it's sunny outside, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us. We know you're a busy guy. The PRI, I have always heard about PRI from its inception, and I thought, man, I sure would like to go there, but I don't have a race car. I just want to see all the race car stuff and hobnob with the race car people. And do you have people like me that want to do that?
Well, I think you're qualified because you're part of the media family, so you're more than welcome to come. But like a lot of trade shows, it has to be qualified racing industry folks, be it media, be it race car driver, be it you're working part of the team or one of the manufacturers and facilities that are kind of directly in the racing world.
Well, now didn't the annual get together happen down in Florida, and you moved recently, I guess, back to Indiana or something?
Yeah, the show actually this last show in 21 was the 33rd running of the PRI show, and it's been all over. And for a while, it was in Florida as the Indiana Convention Center was expanding. And once that construction completed, we came back. We've been back to Indiana to the convention center for about 10 years now, and we're extending our relationship there. That kind of jumps into why we recently bought a building and planted ourselves right across IMS at Speedway, Indiana, and then we're trying to make a deeper connection there in the city and in the region.
Well, I have to tell you, in 2006, I went on the drag racing tour in marketing and PR with the Top Fuel team. It was a great experience, but I never understood, wait a minute, drag racing, why are you guys all of the big shops are in Indianapolis? I'm thinking, wait, this is a straight shot based out of California. Why are we in Indianapolis? Because all of the racing industry itself is based there. And yes, it probably all goes back to the Indy 500, but all of the shops are there, all of the parts are there, all of the supplies are there, the technology is there, the people there are there. And I would imagine that that's probably a good spot for you guys.
It is. And I think that's one of the main reasons why the show decided to go there, because we hold the show in December. It's the off season. It's great for folks that are flying in, but also, imagine the 5-6 hour radius from Indy. How many racing related businesses and teams are within that radius and is able to simply drive into the show, participate, check out what's on the floor, and stay for a day or two and leave.
And PRI, as the racing industry, is NHRA, NASCAR, different range of drag racing, IMSA cars, as well as I noticed this last couple of years, a lot of the street outlaw crowd has joined you guys at PRI as well, as far as coming to sign autographs and bringing their celebrity to your show.
Sure. Of course, I think the strongest segments are drag and dirt track racing, and that's part of the root of PRI. That's where the bulk of the attendees are. But the goal of the PRI show is all things racing. So yes, we do have businesses and teams in the IMSA, SRO, GT car world. We are getting karting, vintage racing, EV. From my previous background, the world of drifting is participating and seeing the value of a show like the PRI show. And that's where the racing world kind of collides and cross-pollinates, right? Nowhere else, no other racing event, in the country, be it a consumer or a trade event, brings all these genres of racing together. Just talking to somebody that I know, it's like, why are you coming and attending the show? Well, I'm not coming to seek out what I already know, right? I'm in a particular segment. I know who to go to for what I need. I'm coming to see what the off-road guys are doing. I'm coming to see, what the drag racing guys are doing, because I'm trying to get ideas and different manufacturers that I can work with on my race car, on my race team.
Can I bring in an idea? Say I'm involved in drifting. Can I bring in an idea from the drag racing world that's going to make me a better drifter?
I think so. Again, just speaking off of experience, when you look at a pro level drift car, there are components that come from the rally and off-road world. There are components that come from the drag racing world, right? There's a need for stronger transmissions and axles because there's a lot of power to the ground, so parts break all the time. So there are teams already kind of grabbing and using technology and tools and manufacturers and parts that are already existing in different genres. And that's kind of the beauty of the show, is that you're not there for your own segment. You're there because you're seeing and learning from other segments as well.
What manufacturer took up the largest footprint in last year's show?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. There are a lot that have, increased and decreased space over the years. I'd say Goodyear Tire came in for the first time and took up a huge amount of space. We go from the Indiana Convention Center and we connect with Lucas Oil Stadium. And so Lucas Oil Stadium houses a lot of the larger trailer displays and so forth. So, Goodyear had a great presence there. There's a tunnel. There's a, pedestrian tunnel that connects to both of those areas. They brought all the vehicles that they cover, everything from, a Skip Barber Racing School kind of spec car all the way to a Top Fuel drag car, and everything that their product lives on. So they had a pretty good footprint this year.
And as far as engines are concerned, was it a whole array of engines? Like, for instance, did Chevrolet, I know because Chevrolet makes a racing engine that you can buy right off the shelf. Did Chevrolet have a display there?
Yeah, Chevrolet certainly does have a display there. And they have as you guys know, they have a really, big and healthy crate engine program.
Yes.
Obviously, they're trying to show their wares that a race team can maybe skip a few steps from trying to piece together something on their own and buy a Chevy built crate engine and ship it right to the shop.
Well, and some racing series require a Chevy built spec engine as well.
For sure. There are spec and speaking of crate engines, there's between in the kind of EV race, Ford also has a EV turnkey, engine that can be purchased and utilized if you want to basically build a, electric drag car or electric race car.
So you coming from the drifting world and talking about EV, has EV entered the drifting world yet?
It has. But like anything else, right? There's a lot of R&D that still needs to happen. The drifting space is, mature. The series is going on its 19th season. But in comparison to the type of, dollars and OE support from the likes of, NASCAR and IndyCar and NHRA, it's very different. It's not, the dollars are not there. So there's a lot of privateer teams that are trying it out and seeing how it works. We did the series, Formula Drift had a team that brought a electric Camaro to the series. A lot of learning curve from both the team and the series, dealing with how to safely extract a driver from a electric vehicle if it was to crash, safety, things like that. But also the team itself learning how to the immediate power to the ground, like axles were breaking every few runs. They were making enough power. It looked good on its own, kind of driving around, but in competition, it was a little bit different. So that team kind of took that off the shelf and went back to the drawing board, learning what areas need improvement, and is technology catching up, tools, et cetera, that's available to help them continue or bring that program back rather than have to, come up with everything and fabricating everything on
which would be a reason for that team to come to PRI
exactly. I was thinking
and
the same
look
thing.
at the opportunities in other racing organizations and vendors that are supplying different genres of
This
racing.
is what I'm experiencing. How can that help me?
And Jim, on that note, did you have people from, let's say, Formula One there?
This year, unfortunately, because of all the varying COVID, pandemic-related restrictions, especially travel, we used to get a huge contingent from Europe, but travel restrictions limited that. We would get folks from, we would partner with the MIA and Motorsport Valley and all the businesses. You guys were talking about how so many, drag racing and IndyCar teams are kind of in and around the Indianapolis area. Obviously, all the Cup teams are in and around the Charlotte area and Mooresville. Open wheel, Formula One, all the Formula One teams, or majority of them, happen to be kind of within a certain radius of each other and all the suppliers and so forth. So we used to have a pretty good partnership, and a lot of those manufacturers would come and either participate as individuals walking the show, or their companies themselves would be there. But unfortunately, we didn't have that in the 21 show, and it looks like we'll be able to have them back in the 22 show. So we're excited about that.
I hear Massey's going to have a lot of free time this year.
Maybe you could sit on a steward panel.
I assume that being Indianapolis, I would imagine that there'll be a lot of IndyCar teams there.
We do. We get a lot of IndyCar teams. Again, it's the off season, and you can imagine, right? If you're working on an IndyCar team, of course you're a racing enthusiast. Of course you're a car enthusiast. So we do get. I think the largest contingent was from like Arrow McLaren. They had a whole bunch of their folks come to the show.
Now, other than the parts, which it kind of goes without saying, I mean, do you have displays there that actually show some of the race cars and some of the technology that whatever parts manufacturer is showing off there?
Definitely. We're always trying to enhance the show. So, of course, like what you think a PRI show would be are, 1,000 manufacturers, part manufacturers, or service providers that have, exhibitor space, a booth on the floor displaying, their wares, new parts, new services, etc. But the only cars on display at the PRI show are race cars. We don't have, show cars. We don't have anything that can relate to those particular exhibitors and manufacturers. The point is to again kind of
if I'm going to go to the PRI show, I want to see race cars up close and personal.
Race cars of all sorts. But we also try to enhance the show with things like, this year we had a content creator stage. The value of things like podcasts and being savvy on social media and different ways to promote yourself as a team or as a manufacturer. We had a series of speakers and panels that was always filled every day. Influencers that were there. We had a special, EV area to kind of put all the EV part manufacturers and cars in kind of one space to highlight them. We're going to evolve that for the 22 show. We have a whole series of educational seminars that run the 3 days of the show. So, it's not just a, hey, let's walk the aisles and, part catalog, but really making the 3 day experience, full of different things that you can see, but also learn.
And put that top fueler up on jack stands and light it up and whap the throttle 2 or 3 times and wake everybody up.
Yeah, do that. I was thinking more along the lines of the corporate parties in the evening where you invite your potential clients in and, you have
wine and
hors d'oeuvres, and we have wine and cocktails and entertainment. Those kind of things.
What time do we need to be there?
There's no alcohol there.
Well, hey, speaking of that, one great thing that's been a legacy of the PRI show that's been going on is on the first night, we always have for all the attendees, credentialed attendees, we have a PRI happy hour. that's always really lively. And, this year was so awesome because we had the Indy 500 ticket reveal at happy hour, and Helio Castroneves was there. And obviously, the tradition is the Indy 500 winner, the driver's face is usually on the ticket, but how does it look and how is it designed is always the surprise. And he was there and he was with us for a little bit. So stuff like that happens all the time, and that's what's really cool.
Well, I'm thinking that a good invitation to the In Wheel Time show, and we can just do a 3-day broadcast from there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and at least a 12-hour day for each of us. And then we can all attend the kickoff party in the evening.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Yeah,
you
guys,
guys,
what you need is a bunch of hardened car people and alcohol mixed together.
Yes,
Nice.
That's what I'm talking
And
about.
he did talk about podcasts, and that's what
He
we do
did.
best.
Yes,
And I don't think you guys would have a hard time having different drivers of different racing series stop in. There's plenty of them on the floor.
So you think they would talk? They would like to talk, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's if
before
they're
the
there.
liquor takes
I'm going to go home and pack now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
what's the dates on this?
December.
I know.
December. I believe it's December 8th, 9th, and 10th this year.
perfect Christmas gift for us,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
to ourselves.
Yes.
Don't you think?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. That's right. If you'd like to see the In Wheel Time show at the PRI show, here's our GoFundMe account. I like it.
That's about a month behind SEMA then, right?
It is. It's almost exactly 5 weeks behind SEMA. Yes.
Cool.
Now, do you guys go to SEMA?
We do. We go to SEMA. We display at SEMA as well. And I don't know if many people know, we're actually part of the SEMA organization. We're kind of
Nice.
in our own silo. There are some cross functions, like accounting and legal and HR that we share with the SEMA team. But we have a specialized PRI team focused on PRI topics and issues. We're like the Marines, and they're the Navy, right? We're the specialized group, part of the bigger organization.
You're the tip of the spear.
We are the tip of the spear.
That's it. Jim, it's great to talk to you and great to get to know you, and thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time that you took on this Saturday for us.
Thank you.
And guess what? It's not going to stop. We're going to bug you all the time now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, thank you for the
See you in
time.
December.
And for sure, we're gonna see all of you guys in December.
You got it, brother.
exactly.
Bet.
Thanks again. Take care and be safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Law.
Yeah, that's Tomlin called us, and told us about some of the cars and stuff that he saw up there this year and stuff. It's got to be a great place to go.
Well, I follow the Street Outlaws things, and it seems like most of the Street Outlaw guys were at PRI, at least the big name.
Okay,
guys,
well,
and
we've
had their
got
cars on
we've
display.
got 8 months to prepare. And so that's going to be our goal for ourselves. We're going to go up there, get out of the ladies' hair that we're in, and go up there and let us do our boy things up there.
Got to get my nails done, get my hair cut.
That's right.
Get my
Got a
toes
pack.
done, get my pedicure.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go. Now I've got a reason to go.
Yeah, now
And
we
an
got an
invite.
excuse.
That was sort of a pseudo invite.
It was.
Yeah.
There was more than a pseudo invite. I
It
think
was,
that was a
no, we
clear
were
invite.
invited. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you that we'd fit right in there. Don't you think? Yes. is the
Fanatical
answer.
car guys and alcohol.
And to be honest, it's been probably 4 or 5 years now since I've been to SEMA, and I would so much rather go to this than go back to SEMA again, just because of the way it's two different worlds. It really
Sure.
is.
But also at SEMA, they say not to go every year. They go a basic schedule of every other year.
Well, I was going once
But
every
it's
3
also
years,
now at like
but
3 venues.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really gotten monstrously big.
Let's move on, shall we, here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. And let's talk to Conrad about the car clinic.
Things you should know about engine sludge.
I don't even know what engine sludge is anymore.
Oil sludge is a murderous foe that looks like burnt marshmallow inside your engine. If you love toasting marshmallows but don't have the patience for them, like me, I kind of stick them in the fire and let them catch fire. Yeah. And the outside gets kind of dark. Yeah, the outside gets bubbly and the surface develops that black burntness. Well, that is a little bit what sludge is, and I use the marshmallow analogy because it's sticky. So as sludge begins to build, it wants to hold on to the next deposit that goes by. The breakdown of the oil causes solids to be left behind, and those solids begin as a varnish. So a piece of aluminum now looks a little copperish, and then it turns to kind of like a gum, and you get a little bit of a thicker buildup on it, and then it becomes sludge. And once it becomes sludge, it can become quite an issue. Dirty oil isn't necessarily bad oil. Oil sludge is often thought to be just dirty oil, but that's not the whole story. The oil is supposed to get dirty because all fluids in an engine do three things: they cool, clean, and they lubricate. So that cleaning process of dirty oil, it collects all of the contaminants and delivers it to the filter. So as it passes through the filter, it kind of cleans it out somewhat by taking all those contaminants out. Sludge oil eventually fails. Over time, the exposure to heat and other oxidation issues inside the engine, they change the molecular level, and instead of the oil becoming slippery, it becomes sticky or tacky like that burnt marshmallow. Contaminants stick to the oil and clog up passages inside the engine, clog up the filter, but the oil also loses its ability to tolerate heat, so it starts to burn onto more and more components. Have you ever had that Corningware dish with the burnt edges on it?
Oh, I have that all the time.
So, that's where sludge is going inside your engine. But sludge is going to kill the engine. The components of your engine are designed to smoothly slide against each other to generate enough pressure to power your vehicle. Sludge attaches itself to any of those hot metal surfaces, and those components now begin to scratch or rub together because the sludge, again, has turned sticky.
More friction?
Yeah, it increases the level of friction, but it doesn't offer the lubricating qualities that the oil does. The other thing that happens is that sludge buildup also becomes an insulator. So now that insulator means that the engine's going to operate hotter because, again, engine oil is going to cool, clean, and lubricate. So as the engine begins to sludge up, all of those functions of the oil begin to deteriorate. So to prevent
it, you change the oil? That's how you do it?
Change the oil more often. I'm a believer in, if you're using most everything now is a synthetic blend or a full synthetic, every 5,000 to 6,000 miles is good. But some of these 10, 15, 20,000 mile oil change intervals, I think, are short-terming a lot of engines.
There are manufacturers that have sealed oil compartments.
Right. And then, how do you check the level? Right. There are ways to check the level, and then it's just going to tell you to change your oil. You go into some dealerships, and your oil level or your oil life story on the driver information center says 25% left, and they'll, oh, no, you don't have to change your oil. Look, change your oil based on every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. Use a quality oil. Use a quality filter because, again, you're delivering that dirty oil to the filter, and the filter's trying to screen out the contaminants. Using a cheap filter is just as bad as not changing your oil as frequently as you should.
Don't be an oily stool.
Is it okay if I change my oil once every 1,000 miles?
Well, yeah, because you're changing once a year.
Yeah.
So.
We had a guy much younger. His mom was having a few problems with her car. It was smoking a little bit. We're talking about like a 65 Ford Galaxy 500 with a straight inline six-cylinder. So we decided we were going to fix it one day, and we went down there and we took the valve cover off so we could see what was going on. There was so much sludge, it looked like the valve cover was still on it. I mean, and we were so scared to touch it because we didn't want to knock. Yeah, we tried to put the
valve cover back
on very slowly because we didn't want to knock all that crap down in the motor.
And again, that goes to that marshmallow begins to get sticky, it just attracts more stuff to it.
Yeah, it was so funny.
The old oily stool.
There is a commercial on, and it says it right on the commercial about if you have an oily stool. I'm thinking, dear God.
You need to wash it off and change shocks. Is that a 3-legged stool or a 4-legged stool? We have lost control.
No, we haven't just lost control. We've lost control when the four of us got together. There's that. Well, we're going to end this on a fun note.
That we did.
U.S. auto safety regulators have launched an investigation into more than 1.7 million Honda cars for unintended automatic emergency braking. Another one. The investigation covers 2018 to 2019 Honda Accord midsize cars and 2017 to 19 Honda CR-V compact crossovers. The complaints allege braking incidents. Complaints. The complaints, not compliance. The complaints allege braking incidents, some with large speed changes occurring with nothing obstructing the vehicle's path, according to a document posted Thursday to NHTSA's website. NHTSA last week opened an investigation into certain Tesla vehicles for another problem just exactly like it. So,
and Honda calls their system collision mitigation braking system, but it's one of those things. It's using the cameras and the radars on the car. If something's in the way, it's going to slam the brakes on.
Yeah.
So if it intermittently happens and you're on the highway, watch out from behind.
Exactly, and that's the biggest problem. Yeah. All right. Time now for a quick break. We're going to wrap up today's show after this. Stay tuned to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
Saturday, March 19th, 2022 is the premiere of the all-new Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos kicks off a new seasonal format, and first up is the Spring Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m., Saturday, March 19th. Tailpipes and Tacos will award trophies for the best hot rod, best classic, and best modern classic, so make plans now. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise in, and this is where you'll enjoy seeing the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, along with Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and all cars will automatically compete for custom Lupi trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for the all-new Spring Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, March 19th. It's going to be a huge car show, and spectators are welcome. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there, too. Let's celebrate the arrival of spring and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, March 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net.
Oh. Well, that's a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. When you're on our Facebook page, please give us a like. Tell your friends about us. Share our junk, if you would, please. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. There'll be some fun stuff in there, too, for you, along with upcoming events and other goodies. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time. 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite podcast outlet 7 days a week. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Manager and Video Technical Director is We Need More, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
For Booking Agent and Podcast Editor, Mike Out of This World Mars, sometimes known as Beetlejuice.
Come for your daughter, Chuck.
Yes. And his royalty, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Today's show dedicated to all the people of Ukraine.
Yes.
We sure hope you'll join us again next week for our live In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, Saturday, March 5th, 8 to 11 a.m. Central, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Let's rodeo and go see Jeff tonight down at Leon's Lounge. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.